If you are currently experiencing a behavioral issue of any kind, feel free to email me as I do offer virtual coaching. And if you would like, you can go to my Facebook page and you can see all the reviews that I've had from previous clients.
All right, welcome, welcome. My name is Mark Anthony Dubose Jr., and I have here Kevin, correct?
Yes.
Kevin, the anti-dog trainer, to have a discussion to talk about some dogs today, and talk about some dogs in a way that something that I've realized is we have a lot of things that are very, very common. And one of those things that I'll say is very common is I'm not really going to say that I'm a much dog trainer, and he says the same way, is that he's not a dog trainer. We're looking at this in a different lens of the main thing that I do notice of anything that I've ever watched of his is obedience training is not the way to be able to get what most people are looking for. Obedience is kind of just it's the training aspect. But when you're having behavior issues, it's not something that is going to, for not all cases, but most all cases, be able to solve the issues that people are having. So the dogs are fearful, dogs are super excited. Most of that kind of just makes things worse. And he has the exact same approach. There's differences, of course, and we'll talk about differences, but similarities. We're coming at this in the sense of trying to help the dog for what the dog needs and be able to give the owner the information that they need so that they're able to be able to have the success without the constant need of, this is something that I've noticed with him as well, the constant need of needing me anymore. We got where we got. Now you just got the information that you need. Whereas that's a lot of pushback that I personally give to a lot of traditional dog training. You constantly keep needing them, and you can't just let them go and be able to sorry for the blinds, figure out how to be able to do what you need to be able to do on yourself. So he has a somewhat of I would say, a system in place that he goes to each client with a way of being able to give them like a guideline to basically go by to say, hey, we need some things to change. And you don't have no choice, because if you keep doing the same stuff, you're not going to get what you need. And his level, say, in a way of change is different than my change. But we both have change that needs to happen. And that's the change that, in reality, we can probably even start off that conversation with that concept.
Well, I would say this, Mark, because we are similar in that way, in that I don't subscribe to these training concepts. And one of the themes of my channel is trying to identify or make the discrepancy between training and behavioral issues. Because to me, training is skill-based. You know, we're talking like when you get a job and they give you training, they're trying to teach you the skills of the job, but that has nothing to do with your attitude towards your boss or the work or your coworkers, what have you. So the behavioral issues to me are all socially related. And that is the main purpose of my channel, is teaching people about the social hardwiring of dogs. And so this all goes back to, the main disagreement we have is the dominance hierarchy aspect of things. And so I think that's probably going to be the biggest thing we disagree on, especially in this discussion, is this idea that since dogs operate within that, and people do too, you go to a workplace, that is a dominance hierarchy. You have a boss, they have a boss, goes up the chain of command. And if you slack off at the job, there's a consequence. If you disrespect your boss, there's a consequence. You disrespect your coworker, there's a consequence. And this is just the nature of social creatures. And we're social creatures, dogs are social creatures. And so to me, being able to look at things in from that perspective gives you a much different lens to see these things through. And so you address these problems in a much, much different way than, say, the balanced folks, the force-free folks, because I think they're both wrong.
Yeah, I'm on board with that the same way. But I guess the question that I would want to ask you is the concept of, say, the hierarchy and the dominance. Is that something that is granted or is it earned?
What do you mean?
In a sense of, say, you're a dog, you have no choice but to listen to me because I'm a human being.
I would say the natural order of things is, yes, dogs are animal. We bring animals into our world, right? We have higher faculties, cognitive faculties, than they do. So we have the burden of responsibility in that equation. I have to provide leadership to my dog. It'd be the same. It's the same thing with a child, right? This is why the parenting analogy is so important, because we bring a child into this world, and it's the same thing where I'm responsible for my child's well-being, for their safety, for raising that child so it can be a well-adjusted happy individual. And so there are certain things there's certain ingredients to this whole thing with the relationships we build with the dog, same with the child we may have. And since I'm the one that's ultimately responsible for the dog, yes, at that point it's the dog needs to adhere to the rules and boundaries and the guidance that I give it. But the thing we have to understand is there's a process to everything. So understanding that dogs see things in this way, this shapes how they see us, and everything comes down to how does the dog see the world around it? How does the dog see us and its relationship to us? And once we understand that everything is meant to be seen through the lens or the eyes of the dog, this is why my channel is called Act Like a Human, Think Like a Dog, because you're never going to get there unless you understand how dogs operate and be able to see things through their eyes. And when we understand that they are hierarchical creatures, we're able to lead them in the correct way. And this is how I'm able to achieve things at a much quicker rate than most people. And I know you disagree with that, but that's just the fact of the matter is I can get people the results they want without, using these provocative terms such as punishment. I don't need to punish a dog to get what I want from it, because everything comes down to the communication that I give the dog. And when the communication makes sense to the dog, you're going to get what you want out of the dog much, much faster.
Yeah. So that's the I'll say a part that, so basically I want to repeat what you said, give a slight summary. You're basically stating that because you are human, the dog has to listen regardless of what type of a human you are. You could be a scumbag, I don't want to use this word. That's the best word of using it. But a drunk, raging alcoholic that's just abusing and hitting the kid all day. Should that dog still respect that person just because they are, say, let's just use the word the parent?
No. And see, I'm glad you brought up that word respect, because everything comes down to respect. And this is the nature of a dominance hierarchy, is it all comes down to respect. Say when you have two dogs, and I'm sure you've seen videos where I have like another dog in my place with Grey Goose. Those dogs give her the utmost respect because she's the more dominant dog in that equation. And she's made it very clear to them that there are certain lines you do not cross or there is a consequence. So it's a respect thing, Now, to answer your question, yeah, if I'm a shit human being and I can't lead my dog in the right way, then the respect is not there. I have not built the respect from the dog to me, and I'm not respect worthy. So why should the dog follow me?
Okay. That's okay. I hear what you're saying. And so I'm going to say I'm on board with that exact same thing. You can't just be anybody. And that's the part of the change that we need to do so that dog can want to respect us. And we can't just, this is the thing. If you're having a problem with a dog right now, please, whatever you're doing, you can't keep doing. You have to do something different. And the thing is about that concept of that respect. If you are, this is the thing on why, like, so for me and say a lot of the, say, dog training, you're actually disrespecting the dog and then wondering why you should get respect. But the main thing is, what is that concept of respect? Who are we that the dog respects? And why should the dog respect us? What is it that we are doing? And who are we that they should even listen, period? How do I be able to get my dog to respect me?
Well, respect is built. Just like this, see, this is why I disagree with this notion, like Robert says, where a relationship is trust and respect, and that builds confidence. Well, to me, that's very superficial, because trust is built, respect is built, relationships are built. So how do we build these things? And that's why my video on relationships, I have 4 tenets of that. How do we build a relationship with the dog? Well, tenet 1 is we need to play the right role, and that is the authoritative role. Not authoritarian, not permissive. It's the happy medium between the two, where you're still warm, caring, and affectionate at the right times, but you also instill boundaries and there's rules. And if those rules are not adhered to, there are consequences. And consequences doesn't mean that these things have to be harsh in nature. It's a consequence. Sometimes consequences are good. A good thing can be a consequence. It's just cause and effect. So the right role needs to be played. 2, the power dynamics need to be aligned. And this again goes back to the dominance hierarchy. Somebody has to have all the power in the equation. If I'm leading, then I have all the power between me and the dog. The dynamic is balanced correctly. Dog follows, I lead. 3, the communication has to be proper and effective. So again, it has to make sense to the dog. I have to speak the dog's language. 4, consistent rules and boundaries which are enforced. Rules and boundaries which are enforced consistently create expectations. And when a dog understands what's expected of it, that's what builds the respect, because now the dog on a day-to-day basis can rely on you to be consistent in who you are, the communication you give it, the role you play, and that you are in control at all times. And the dog now doesn't have to worry about anything. It can just relax, be a dog, and say, hey, this person's got everything. I don't need to control anything. My life is good. All I have to do is follow this person because they're stable, they're strong, they're consistent, and they don't add all this emotional bullshit to everything that to me gets in the way most of the time, especially with my clients. That's the number one thing I see is the communication is not right because people pet the dog too much. They talk to the dog too much. They add too much emotion to things. They're too emotional with their dog. And this goes back to humanizing the dog too much. So we have to slow things down and remove a lot of it's about removing things. And then understand that everything comes down to strength of personality. It's strength and weakness. A dog will respect you when you show strength. You show weakness, you're going to start to lose respect, or you'll never build a respect from that dog because why should it follow you if it sees you as weaker than it?
See, that's something that I would say is I can slightly agree and slightly disagree with the concept of dogs are capable of being able to do things to help us and get us to be able to get things that we need to get done. And I don't need to control the dog in the entire aspect, because if I'm controlling the dog in the entire aspect, it's not able to do the part that it needs to in this, say, partnership that we're in. And I'm looking at it more in the sense of, especially because I have, say, dogs that do stuff for me. So I see the power of allowing the dog to have to do the stuff for me that I lack in. And then the dog wants to come back and wants to listen to me because I'm doing that back and forth with the dog, that I don't need to say to the dog, I'm going to run and maintain your entire life all the time. That with my experience with that is it creates a very dependent dog that is always needing you. And it starts to become, for some people, it's fine. So you may have that middle magic sauce, but most people, the dog gets so dependent that it no longer is able to function without you, period. So that's where you have the dogs that are in the house that are just acting a fool, stressed out, acting crazy, can't be with more than 2 feet from your side. They're just anxious. They're always trying to push everything away. It starts to get them to just have this overwhelming feeling of, I'm not allowed to be me. I got to only be them.
Well, see, here's what I see with that. When I go to a client's house and I see all of those, that state of mind expressed, which to me, that's what a behavior is the expression of a currently held state of mind. You know, this definition Skinner has come up with after 21 books written is an organism's response to an environmental stimulus. It's great, but it doesn't go deeper than it needs. It should go deeper. They were talking about like a very lizard brain way of seeing the world where it's reactionary. Well, what's happening on a social level, right? If I go to a client's house and the dog is anxious, following them around over there, clinging to them because it's insecure, well, the dog is not getting the leadership it needs from the human because the human is weak. So if I tell the dog, you know, the first thing I do is we establish some boundaries. I'll give you an example. I went to a woman's house. The son had gotten her a dog, and it was an island dog. It was a wild dog. Brought it home. I don't know how he got a hold of this dog. He got it to the States and he gave it to her as a gift. And she attended one of my free seminars at a local pet store that I do. And she said, you know, I came because I have this dog and I don't know what to do with this dog. This is like out of my depth. I've never had a dog like this. So I booked a session, or she booked a session, and I went over. And, you know, she made it sound like this dog was like this, like going to be this hard, difficult, you know, so I was prepared for a challenge. It was one of the easiest dogs I've ever worked with, where I walked in and it was the same thing. The dog was anxious. As soon as I walked in the room, started barking at me defensively, like backing up, barking at me. And her friend was there. And so I went and sat on the couch and she came to investigate me. But anytime I'd make a sudden movement, that dog would react and start barking at me. All we had to do was because the next thing the dog wanted to do was jump up on the couch, the dog was basically going wherever it wanted. It was in control of the environment because nobody was telling the dog what to do. So I said, her friend, I said, hey, next time the dog tries to jump up on that bed, just block it, set a boundary there. So he did. Every time the dog would jump up on the couch, he blocked it. And then the dog was like, okay, this is new. And then every time it went over to the owner, because the owner would pet it, every time it would start barking and be anxious, and she'd start petting. I said, stop petting the dog. Just ignore the dog. And then gently push the dog away to claim your space. Well, after repeating that a few times, the dog ended up just going down and laying on the floor and minding its own business. That all went away. Now the trick was, okay, now every time I stand up, the dog wants to engage and start barking again. Well, I told her, hey, every time he or she gets up and starts barking at me, just go get face to face with her and send her back to her bed. So she started to do that. And then we repeated me coming in the house over and over and over again. And eventually the dog understood, like, hey, okay, you don't want me to address this guest anymore. You want me to just hang out on my bed and relax. It was easy. The dog just needed a few boundaries and some direction. And that was it. But they weren't providing that for the dog. Anxiety went away in a matter of 15, 20 minutes because now the dog understood, what do you want from me? It was that simple.
But sometimes do you think let's just talk about that case in specific, but just a lot of people go through, I guess, what I'm about to bring up. Do you think that dog just got to the point of saying, I'm scared, so let me just do what they tell me to do, instead of actually getting the dog to get into a better place? The dog just went into a avoidance stance of, I don't want them to do this to me anymore, so let me just go ahead and get out of the way and just get out of here.
Well, because now you're coming down to the issue of control, right? The dog was taking control. The dog was being the assertive one in that equation when the two of them were playing a passive role. They were letting the dog do that because think about it from the dog's mind. Nobody's telling me what to do here. Nobody's addressing this person that I'm uncomfortable with. What am I supposed to do? So I'll just take it into my own hands because I have these two passive individuals next to me. I'll have to be the dominant one in this equation. I'll have to take control of this situation. All they needed was for the owner and the other human in the equation to say, no, don't do that. Go lay down. But that also brings up the question of, I've been working with dogs for 15 years. So to assume that I don't know what a calm, relaxed dog looks like is like telling a mechanic that he doesn't know how to change oil after 15 years, you know?
I hear you on that.
I know what a calm dog looks like, you know?
I guess I hear you on that, but the thing is, it's like that scenario right there is a classic, say, dog training scenario that I learned that in the dog school. That's how we do certain things. But what happens is it works when you come to the house or when someone new comes to the house. Now the dog is back into the same weird rampage. And
no, it's not.
I don't want to say this in a way of, it'll be a compliment, but I don't want to like say it like in a weird way, but you're a very tough looking guy. Your energy is like demanding. So when your energy is demanding walking into that house, that dog is going to be more compliant of like, I'm about to get this, like, I don't want to deal with this. But if the neighbor's friend comes over and they're all, hey, how's it going? That's going to be a whole new, like, weird situation.
No, here's the part you're missing, Mark. I didn't do anything in that equation. I told them what to do. I was just sitting on the couch. I told both of them how to handle the dog. I didn't do anything because that was a dog that I couldn't challenge myself. The dog would have escalated the situation. I told them to direct the dog. I didn't do anything. Now, if you had somebody coming in acting excited, that it's just up to the owner to say, hey, I need you to be calm and relaxed around my dog. It's that simple. We start to take proactive measures to make sure these things don't happen. And I'm glad you brought up the way that I am, because I'm very big on definitions and being clear on our terms. And I want to I want to bring up some definitions here, like the word dominance, right? The definition of dominance is power and influence over others. The word dominant is the most important, powerful, and influential entity, in a group, in a society, what have you. Well, now what is influence? Influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character development or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. What is power? The ability to do something or act in a particular way, especially as a faculty or quality. Control, the power to influence or direct people's behavior or course of events. You see how those things are all, there's a through line there. All of those words are connected. You can't have control without power and influence. You can't have dominance without power and influence, but all that leads to the control. So when I had my dog, my first two dogs, right? Robert would like to say there's no such thing as dominant aggression. Well, to me, that's absolute bullshit, because I lived with a dominant aggressive dog for 13 years. I had to become a different human being to handle that dog. It wasn't about training. It wasn't about let me just do nothing and let the dog trust me and build this passive relationship. No, that dog, if I didn't make it very clear who was in charge the day I brought that dog home, I would have had serious problems down the road. So I had to become a stronger human being, I had to develop skills and deal with all my emotional shortcomings to be able to get that dog to really respect me. So when you have a strong dog like that, it really comes down to the strength of your personality. Otherwise, the dog never respect you.
Because that's the part that I would give pushback at, because I also have brought in a dog that is very, very headstrong. And I noticed that power struggle, the more I'm trying to overpower him, he only would try to come back and overpower me. So it was just back and back and back and back. And I said, I'm too smart as a human being to fight with a stupid dog. I stopped that power struggle, and I no longer have a power struggle, period. I didn't learn to be more stronger and more tougher and more, I guess a good word to use there, stricter. I learned how to be able to actually just, for how you said it, do nothing. Say, buddy, I'm not fighting with you. And once he realized that I'm not fighting with him, he's like, well, I have no reason to fight with you. And now we don't have any issues anymore. I can tell the boy anything I'm looking for in any situation, anywhere, without me having to, say, get stronger in my dominance type character. I could just be me.
Well, then that truly was not a dominant dog, because that's not how it works with action. If you take a passive role with a truly dominant dog, they're just going to take control of it. They're going to take more control over things. They're not going to go backward.
That's the concept of my dog is harder than your dog type language, where we all struggle with our dogs the same type way. Because, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, because that's like an argument that dog trainers love to use. Your dog, why can't you do this with your dog? But then they say, oh, it's because my dog is like this and it's like that. That's not a valid argument for me ever, period. Because there's even someone that started talking about your dog, and I'm like, you'd be very surprised. All dogs have their challenges, but it's a matter of what we are willing to want to do with those challenges. And I just noticed that if I'm trying to double down I want to be over this dog. My experience, I've seen this and have done work with many people with this. It creates the dog to want to keep that power struggle going. And then you have to get to the
that's why you fail. That's why you fail, Omar.
Fail at what?
The way you attacked that was you escalated things. So yeah, a dog that's already going to challenge you, you go to challenge that dog, things escalate. I don't want an escalate. There's a time and a place to challenge a dog, dominant or not. You have to know the dog that is in front of you. So I know very well after 15 years of dogs that I should not challenge and escalate things, and the dogs that I can challenge. So I have found workarounds to these things. So I'll give you an example. The series of my where I simultaneously work through male aggression and dogs who fight over things, the two pit bulls in that equation, right? Rosie was the pit bull who was being aggressive towards me. When I first met that couple, they found that dog under a bus, and they didn't realize they brought it home. The dog started being aggressive towards the husband. Well, they wanted me to come and assess the dog. So I assessed the dog. And of course, one of the things I do to assess the dog is I put a bowl of food down on the dog, and I claim the food, and I see how the dog reacts to it. Well, that dog did not like the fact that I wanted to take control of that food. So the dog started attacking me. And I repeated that a few times and realized, like, okay, this isn't a dog that I can challenge like this. And so I noticed that, okay, she's going after the husband. But she doesn't, she sees the mother as more of an authority figure. The mother's the one that found her on the bus. She drives school buses. So I said, let me filter this through her. So I said, hey, I'm not going to say her name, but hey, every time I get close to this bowl of food and she starts growling at me, I want you to clap your hands and say, hey. And she did that. And every time she did that, Rosie turned around and walked right towards her and stopped challenging me. So we repeated that until Rosie no longer challenged me over the food bowl. And I said, hey, all right. as per part of the instructions I'm gonna write for you guys, this is how I want you to do it. Anytime she starts to display aggressive intent towards your husband, you need to discipline her and let her know that's not acceptable. And guess what? As you saw in those videos, now the husband is able to address the dog, because now through the wife, we've been able to iron all that out. And now the perception of Rosie is different to the husband. They've built a really good relationship with each other. Now she has more respect for him than even the wife now. So how did I accomplish that? If I didn't have a thorough understanding of how these things work, the social dynamics at play, there's no way I could have achieved that. I would have just kept escalating the situation. It would have got worse and worse and worse. But that's not the way to go about these things. You have to understand there's a lot of nuance here sometimes. I take dogs on an individual basis. And this is why like I take issue with your criticism of my 5-star reviews. It's like, I've never claimed to be perfect. I've never claimed to have all the answers. I've never claimed my system's flawless. But what I am very good at is showing up at someone's house and assessing the dog in front of me. And like a good doctor would, I'm going to prescribe based on the patient in front of me, not this one-way method or system of doing things that would apply to all dogs. You're going to fail that way. I take things on an individual basis. So sometimes I got to be quick on my feet, because I've encountered dogs where there are issues where I've never encountered before, and now I gotta strategize on the spot, and I'm really good at that too. And I consider those my special cases, where the issues are just kind of outside the norm, and I have to strategize not only while I'm there, but after the session's over. I have to figure out, okay, what is the best course forward for this dog and this family? And then that's why I do follow up with them. I want to make sure, hey, how are things going? Let me know how things going, so we can adjust the strategy if we need to, or I can give you further guidance, which I give for free, by the way. So everything, I'm very thorough with what I do.
And I guess that's the part that I could see there's the difference in how I would view what is it you're talking about with the woman clapping her hands and getting the dog to look the other way. Because you may have say that case turned out all right, cool. But in a lot of cases, that hand clap starts to become just background noise. And then you need something more. And then you need something more. And then you need something. This is what most people, unfortunately, are struggling with. And this is why, for me, I'm trying to I watch your videos to figure out what are we doing here, because in almost every case of people that I know and I talk to, they need more of something. But you're saying, no, I use this and it's done and it's over with. So there's something that's going on that's like the missing link here of why is it that clap was able to stop? Because most dogs, you'll give them something, say, fresher, and not worried about why is the dog growling, why is the dog trying to guard its food, as opposed to just saying, let's just stop the dog from doing that. If we don't figure out why the dog is doing that, then we're going to run in a weird case, as opposed to just, so if a dog is nervous of its food, so just say my go-to with a dog is nervous of its food, put it in an isolated place, let it eat its food, and just leave it alone. Literally, the dog starts to feel more comfortable and confident because it knows that it's going to get its food. A lot of these dogs go into that guarding because they're scared that they're not going to be able to get the food, the chance for that food.
That's not true. That's not true. See, this is the problem, Mark. What was the first thing you said? Where you said, no. So see, the question I ask as soon as I arrive is why is the dog doing this? So to assume that I'm not asking that question, that's the foundational question, is why is this happening? But again, it's all socially related. So if I look at these things through the lens of a social problem, then the question of why is a much easier question to answer, because I'm looking at things from the correct perspective. I don't understand why people think that just because a dog wants to claim its food, it's always out of fear. Why is it so hard to assess the dog and say, no, this is dominance? The dog is trying to dominate its surroundings and tell you to fuck off and get away from my food. Just like, I'm gonna give you an analogy. Your car, right? Let's say you go outside one day and you see somebody mess around with your car. You're gonna have an issue with that, right? You're probably gonna, well,
it depends on what they're doing. Yeah, it depends on what they're doing.
So let's say they're trying to break into your car. You're gonna be like, hey, get the fuck away from my car.
Yeah.
Right? But now let's say the next day you sell that car to your neighbor and you go outside and see somebody fucking around with the car. You're not gonna care, right? You're like, well, it's not my car anymore. It's the same idea with the dog and the food. Well, I claim the food from the dog. The dog doesn't own the food anymore. Therefore, The dog has no reason to growl at anybody over the food because I control it. This is not a fear thing. Now, sometimes is it? Yeah, I had one case, Mimi. That was the resource guarding video that I made where that dog wasn't secure. That dog was homeless. I think that little dog had to fight for the food she got. So it was more of a learned thing rather than this is a natural tendency of the dog to want to control the food. But if you like, I have multiple videos on this where like Christopher Clugston, I don't know if he's watching this right now. Yeah, I've got your military records, man. You're fucking fake. But he said dominance hierarchies don't exist. But he referred me to Ray Coppinger's work, and I watched it, and he was describing the dominance hierarchy of, say, street dogs. And he described his experience in, it was like this facility where they had dogs in pens. And he said every time we paired the dogs 2 by 2, and when we threw food in there was always one dog who was threatening the other to control the food. That's a dominance hierarchy. There's one stronger dog who's saying, get the fuck away from this food. I'm taking it. It's mine. And then in my video where they did the study where they did lab-raised wolves and lab-raised dogs, and see, this is why this whole idea of reducing behavior down to this like reactionary lizard brain thing is ridiculous, because that study had wolves and dogs, packs of them, and they concluded it was a total opposite of what people thought. They concluded that the wolves were actually more cooperative, and the dogs formed strict linear dominance hierarchies. Especially, and they did tests with the food, and they did tests of showing how the dogs communicate with each other when given a task, and how wolves communicate with each other when given a task. And then they said we should reevaluate this idea that humans don't play a role in this hierarchy, because it seems after studying this for years, it seems like we are very much involved in this social thing that we've been observing for however many years that these dogs grew up. So why is it that the wolves had a different social behavior than the dogs, if behavior is all the same thing?
Human influence. We as humans are,
no, I would say, probably. Study, Mark. You're talking about a scientific study where these were just observed phenomenons that you're talking about.
And this is stuff that I see in all animals across the board. The more that we as humans start to mess with them, the more they start to act like us. And we as humans are what? We're a kill or get killed type just because. And we'll do that out of jealousy and all these other little things. That's how we are. So the dogs end up doing that same stuff. My chickens do the same. My cows do the same. So all the animals do that because of us as what humans, when we get into them. But the ones in the natural, in the wild, that we're not having any influence on, they do completely different stuff. They're not sitting here fighting the same way that we are fighting with, say, our dogs. And that's something on why I can say why a dog is going to want to just talk food for that moment, is going to want to say dominate the food, because we are trying to dominate the food. So the dog has to have this, we're going back and forth type attitude. But if I just say, buddy, it's your food, eat your food. We're not fighting over the food anymore. Now the dog says, okay, we can share the food. Everything is fine at this moment. But dogs are getting this.
I've never seen it work out that way, Mark. I've never seen it work out.
I have experience. I feed my dogs live chicken, or not live, or 2 of them eat live and they consume them.
Yeah, but you might not have dominant dogs, Mark. That's the thing. Everyone wants to deny this phenomenon, but not all people have dominant dogs. Like, you might have dogs that are capable of, you might have more neutral or submissive-minded dogs. I'm talking about dogs that want to control shit, like my dog. My dog he came in day one and wanted to control shit.
And that's the thing. Everyone is living with that exact same dog inside of the house. A dog that steps in the home and is looking around like, what's mine, and I want to take it. We all live with these dogs. We all have them. It's not only this 1%. It's 100% of dogs are opportunistic. They're wanting. They just want that. They want to take consume. And in my mind, the more we keep breeding them with us, they're getting worse and worse. They're acting more like humans in that sense of do better or else. And they're doing it in a sense of, this is the thing that I see that's weird, is the dogs are, what was I going to say there? Man, I just lost my words for a second. The dogs are constantly challenging us because we're constantly challenging the dogs. This is something that when you're using the food and you're putting the food there and the dog is trying to dominate and control the food from you, and you're like, no, I put it down, but no, I want it back. You're instantly playing this weird game that doesn't need to be there. And then that's when the dog has to, maybe I don't want to control that no more. Now I'm going to go and do this one. So then you're just constantly in these battles all day long.
Yeah, that's not been my experience, Mark. When you are making very clear to the dog that they don't own shit anywhere, that you run shit. Greg Goose doesn't challenge me. When dogs come in here, they don't challenge me. They don't challenge Goose either. Goose makes it very clear who's in charge here. She's the number one dog here. So dogs that come in here, as soon as they walk in the door, she's checking their ass. There's discipline. And the dogs that come in here do not challenge her. And I don't see problems developing in other areas, because if you have a holistic approach to this, this is why understanding socially what's happening is important, because you can see things from a complete perspective rather than having this spotty idea of things where, you know, like you mentioned in your video, the video is there only one way to train dogs, where you said you showed up with a slip lead and you wanted to choke the dogs out and that was it. Well, to me, that's not a very holistic approach to a behavioral issue. I need to see the dog in its home environment. I need to see how the family interacts with the dog. I need to assess what is happening socially here, so we can start to change how the family interacts with this dog, so we can get a different dog. It's like I had a session a couple months ago with this golden retriever, Otis, and Otis was kind of pushing the family around, and he was nipping at one of the daughters. I spent 2 hours with this family, and I showed them what they were doing wrong, and the mother texted me 2 days later and said, hey, Otis is like a new dog, or I should rather say we're like new owners. And now Otis is, the nipping is very much almost gone now. And because I showed the daughter how to address Otis when he tries to start pushing boundaries and disrespecting her. So that happened. I spent 2 hours with that family. And I got a text 2 days later saying, hey, Otis is like a new dog because we're behaving differently. It's all about the human in the equation. How are we doing things? We are the ones that have to influence the dog in the right way. You know, I don't get into this power struggles with, like, there is no issue with me and Goose. She does not challenge me over shit. There's no the power struggles do not exist. And that is how you know you have a high level of respect from the dog. So again, it all comes down to respect. And when I had my other two dogs, Kaylee would never challenge Bruno, and Bruno would never challenge me. I had to dominate that dog from day one, because he came in, he growled at her when I put food down. I let him know that wasn't going to happen. Then he took the food out of her mouth. He took a turkey neck right out of her mouth. I ripped it away from his mouth, gave it back to her, and I blocked him from getting to her. Then he didn't like that, so he went and tried to pee on my bed. Well, that was the last day he ever tried to pee on my bed. And that was the last day he ever tried to take food out of her mouth, too. And I don't know if you've seen clips of my videos. The two of them had no issue eating deer necks right next to each other. They had no issue sharing food, because I controlled everything. And I could take those deer necks from either one of them any minute I wanted to, and they weren't going to have an issue with it. This is just how dogs see things.
But then that's what's weird, because how come I'm able to do that same thing without having to strip the food and do these things and do all this, as opposed to you might not have strong-minded dogs. It's strong, you know, I said there's a range to this. Not all dogs are wired the same way. Some dogs are submissive, where maybe they'll kind of push boundaries a little bit, but you push back enough and they're just like, all right, fine, you win. I'm not going to challenge you. That's just what I would say is that's a cop-out of just saying that.
How is it a cop-out?
That I've never in my life have had I own no more dogs at this moment than you've even had personally, like, your whole career. And to say that you are the only one on this planet that has had these dominant dogs, and I don't have, and have never experienced and never been around a single one, that's not a valid point to push.
Well, where's the proof, Mark? Because I have a clean 5-star record, and you want to diminish that and talk shit about that. But where's your client testimony?
I've also had the exact same 5-star record. I've also had all the texts and messages that people would. It's all gone, because I don't want to affiliate myself with what I personally. I don't. You know, I'm not saying you look at you. I'm saying this to my own self. I felt like I was a fraud, because I was giving stuff to people and it looked good for days, weeks, up to 2 years, and then they were still having another issue somewhere else. That most cases,
I don't have that problem.
I'd rather have had the problem before.
I don't have that problem.
And that's the part where that attitude is the part where you say, how I said to you, you've got it all figured out and you're perfect, because I
show up to clients' houses where sometimes I don't know, but sometimes I don't have the answer and I got to figure it out. That's the thing that you don't understand, is I've shown up to many people's houses to assess things, and it's a different issue than what I'm used to. And now I got to diagnose things and problem solve. And I figure it out, because I have the mentality of, I'm going to fucking figure this out. I don't care what it takes. I will solve this problem for these people. And I don't have to choke a dog out or punish it or anything like that to do it.
And that's the part that I would say is where it gets risky, because I understand human behavior in the way of, if you're coming and then you're like, oh, I'll just, even especially if you're not charging for like follow-up calls, people, if they're not getting all of what they're looking for, humans, unfortunately, they lie, and they don't really say. And if they're not getting what they want, they're not going to call you back again. And you could assume that things are good to go, but things really aren't good to go. It may be good to go in that sense of that thing that you helped them with, but there's something else over here. That's the part of why, like I said, you all of your clients, all your dogs you ever worked for in 15 years, everything is good. The moment you walk in, everything is good until that dog passes away. There's no way. People are not honest, unfortunately. They don't speak up. And I'm the one that's going to the people that try to get them to speak up, to say, hey, you were doing this, but now all of a sudden you still have this. And they can't say anything about it. And the worst thing is like, especially say me with my van, I roll up to a neighborhood, I'm going to the house, and the neighbors are all like, hey, you got a dog trainer here. The dog's looking good. And then all of a sudden you got this issue, that issue. People they just can't speak up about that. They're not going to speak up about it. And that's the hidden side behind a lot of the stuff that we're doing. We're fixing it in that moment. We see what we see. We're fixing it in that moment. And then we're not caring about what's going to happen later on. That's
where you're wrong. This is why I follow up with my clients, Mark. And this is why I make it clear to my clients when I'm on the phone with them, I'm not here to train your dog. The onus is on you. I'll show you the way. I'll give you the strategy. I'll create the instructions for you. I will do as much follow-up as you need, but it's on you to do the internal work to change, to give that dog what it needs long term. I've never had issues with my personal dogs long term. My client, the dogs you see in my videos repeatedly, those are clients that I built such good relationships with that they trust me to watch their dogs when I go on vacation, and those dogs stay here. And guess what? We don't have a problem. And if there's an issue down the road, the first question I ask the client is, well, how consistent have you been with the instructions I give you? And most of the time, the answer is, well, and kudos to these owners. A lot of times they're very honest, say, well, we haven't been as consistent as we should be. Well, then it's your fault. I showed you what to do, but the responsibility is on you to be consistent day after day after day with the strategy I give you to get the long-term results. Because again, this is a process. If you don't have the guts and the will and the determination to implement that process or see that process through, and I guide you day after day. Some people reach out to me day after day, like, hey, Kevin, this has happened, this happened. Okay, well, let's get on the phone, let's address it. Those are the people that win. The people that I don't hear from anymore, some of them didn't need my help anymore. Some of them, the problem was solved and that was it. Some of them, they just fell off because they didn't have what it took to actually solve the problem themselves. They don't want to put in the work. So I have no sympathy for those people because I don't live with the dog, they do. So how is it my fault if I show up and show you what to do? Because I can get the dog to look great for me. But when I walk out the door, it's up to you now to do what I showed you to do. So that's a you problem, not me.
Yeah, and that's the part that, for me, that I'm going to have a big difference with. It's you're coming in and giving them this say game plan to change who they are to adapt to this dog.
Yes, because it's all about the people. It's all about the human in the equation, Mark.
I understand that, but you're wanting them to change to be like you as opposed to change to be like themselves.
No, I want them to change to understand the dog, right? This is the thing I have an issue with Robert. I got to read B.F. Skinner. No, I learned from the dogs. The dogs made me who I am. The dogs taught me everything I know. And when I show up and I meet a dog who has an issue I haven't dealt with, that's a challenge I will rise to, where I can say, like, how do I okay, let me figure out this problem. Why is this dog doing this? Let me figure this out. But I have a foundational understanding of things to draw from. It isn't this flippant fucking behavior. Every time I see Robert, just videos where he's walking, Monty down the neighborhood and dog barks to the fence, it's always you're insecure. He says it within like 5-10 seconds. You're insecure. How the fuck do you know within 10 seconds of a dog barking through a fence which dogs are territorial creatures? Are they not? Would it make much sense to walk into somebody's backyard unannounced as a strange entity to a dog who has territorial instincts? Yeah, of course they're gonna fucking bark. How does that automatically make them insecure? These are little details that it's so convoluted, where you just need to understand how dogs work, right? You're applying all this human bullshit to the dog. I just want to understand the dog. It makes things much easier. Things are so simple when you just understand the dog, right? How does a dog see things? That's why you accused me of my work being elementary. Well, yeah, a A lot of this shit is simple, but it's complicated, as Brandon Fouché would say. Simple but complicated. And how many people can utilize their dog to help other dogs in the way that I do? I've only had Goose since October, and yet she's a superstar.
And for me, I can easily put that in the sense of anyone that watches this video now, your demeanor is powerful. Just who you are. And then
I've worked with some mean fucking dogs around, Mark.
This is the thing. Your demeanor is already that way. And then your mindset is already on this, I have to be the top of the food chain here. You can't get someone else to be that if they're not that.
No,
so
and
how
that's
are we going to be able to help them with their dog?
That's why there are some people that they should have no business having a fucking pit bull. They have no business having a German Shepherd. They have no business having these stronger breeds if they're weak people. If you're a weak-minded person, you got no business getting a fucking power breed. You got no business getting a pit bull. You got no business getting a dog that you cannot be stronger than. Sorry, that's the way it is.
See, I can't look at it that way, because if you want to come at, because this is how our world works here. If I'm going to come at something away, it's going to come back and reflect to me that same way. And if I'm wanting to be, that is what it is. That's how our world functions. If you are a hostile person, hostile stuff comes to you. If you are a loving, caring person, loving, caring stuff comes to you. But you have, say, on the opposite side of that, you don't have to have much boundaries because people aren't going to mess with you. But if you are more caring, if you are more willing to want to help, people are going to want to come in and try to abuse you. And that's where we have to apply boundaries of saying, I'm not going to allow you to go so far. You could do this, but you can't do that. And that's the big thing that I explain to people of, you need to have those boundaries. You don't have to be this domineering person to be able to have a dog. You just need to have boundaries in place to be able to have the dog. But your mindset really looks at it in a sense
you're looking at domineering as this, you have to be this overbearing, authoritarian, mean individual. That's not at all.
No, that's not how I do
videos. When have you ever seen me be mean to a dog? When have you ever seen me yell at a dog? When have you ever seen me?
This is the thing. It's your presence. This is why, for you, this is why I watch your videos. And you, I said some stuff, and it was about the scenario things we talked about in that video I made of people getting stuff done in a day. Is that real or not? Some stuff that I've seen you do, you can get done in a day, because I'm telling you, your presence with that animal is the only word I can use to stay powerful. But that's not what everyone else is, and everyone else shouldn't think that they need to force themselves to be that. They just need to be who they are.
You assume that I'm telling people to be this overbearing. I don't go to people's houses saying you need to be like me. I just tell them we need boundaries here. I need you to stop petting the dog here. I need you to stop talking to the dog too much. I need you to stop baby talking the dog. I need you to stop giving treats here. Let's strip all the bullshit away, and let me help you understand your dog. Most of the time you see my work, I'm using spatial pressure to influence the dog. I teach a lot of my clients that same thing. Hey, just stand in front of the dog, block it, apply a little spatial pressure to it. That's all you need to do to get the dog to back down, or to get the dog to go somewhere, or to guide the dog to its bed, or to, clap your hand to get the dog to stop barking. These are simple things anybody can do. Most of the time when I show up to a client's house, that person's too permissive. That person lets a lot of shit slide. So of course the dog just does whatever it wants. So I have to tell the person, like, hey, you're not addressing any of this. All you have to do is address this stuff. You don't have to be mean. You don't have to be forceful, but you do need to be assertive. And
so it's weird, because that's my exact same language.
Right. You want to ignore.
Go ahead.
You want to ignore the role of control and dominance in this equation. Assertiveness is very much linked to having a dominant, more assertive, dominant personality. You're exuding a stronger presence. The way you speak, the tone of your voice, the eye contact you give, the body language. This is all communication. It's a form of communication, right? Anybody can do this stuff. These aren't complicated things to implement.
Yeah, that's I don't know. I just see things differently in a way of most dogs that, personally me, that I'm seeing and I'm working with are struggling because there's someone that I'm going to say is being this is the thing. Someone would say being permissive is why the dog is being pushy, but it has nothing to do with that. In a lot of cases that I see, the dog is being pushy because the dog isn't able to be the dog that it's intended to be. and we're trying to strip everything from that dog and say, you have to do this, as opposed to saying, hey, buddy, what do you need to do? And when you allow the dog to do what the dog needs to do, you start to have a working relationship that I no longer need to worry about this do better or else type language. Because the main thing is you got to stop doing some stuff. You got to try some things out. Stop touching it, looking at it, doing it. Stop, throw the treats away out of your house right now. Just get certain things out of the mix. But the big part is allowing the dog to do what the dog needs to do. That's something that I don't think I've ever seen a single video of you even speak on that concept, that the dog has
I don't need
its own individual.
I don't need
that's the part.
The dog is an individual, and I show up and I educate and I assess the dog for the individual that it is. But this whole idea of we got to exercise the dog till it breaks a fucking leg like Larry Crone, or I got to let the dog express its drives. I've never had to do that.
Yeah, because you are controlling every aspect. That's the thing. You're controlling every aspect of that relationship, and that dog is just suppressing and suppressing. As opposed to, hold on, I'll say it like this. People that I work with, I bet, are going to be much different than the people you work with. I work with people that want to do stuff with their dogs. They don't want the dog to just be in, say, control and management all the time. They want to do stuff with them. They want to go all kinds of places with them. They want to experience things with them. They don't want to just say to the dog, you got to do everything I want. They want to know how to be able to have a back and forth relationship with the dog and not just say, this is all that you get. This is the difference here, because in reality, more likely, our audiences are going to be completely on the opposite spectrums here. That's why it's neat for us to be able to talk to, like, say we're on the opposite sides, because my clients and people that I know that are looking for help, they're not looking for help in a sense of, oh, my dog is barking, so I just make it sit in the corner and shut. Not saying this is what you do. I'm just talking extreme, but just sit in the corner and shut up and shut up and don't do anything. Don't worry about the dog's needs at all. Just you tell the dog what its needs are. You tell the dog what it's able to do. You tell the dog where it's able to go, as opposed to saying, hey, dog, you want to go sniff something? You go sniff that spot. It's fine. Go and do that. That's the differences here. Yeah,
but you need to understand, Mark, there's a process to getting there. A dog needs to earn the freedom it gets. When have you ever watched any of my videos?
Mindset. That's prisoner mindset.
Any of my videos, watch any of my videos with my dog's off leash. They have all the freedom a dog could ever want. And I don't micromanage them at all. It's not a management thing. But I am very much still in control of that entire situation, because I can, if I say, hey, it's time to go, we're gonna get back in the car and get the fuck out of there. If I say, hey, don't pick that up, because maybe, I used to live in a lot of places where people would drop chicken bones all over the ground, and I had to constantly be mindful of, hey, there's a chicken bone over here. I got to make sure, hey, Bruno, don't, if he went towards it, I had to let him know, don't pick that up. So the dog, any video with Grey Goose, we walk in the woods on a frozen lake. I take her to the pet store, no leash, no collar, no nothing. I'm not managing anything. She just knows what I expect of her, and she listens and she follows because of the respect and the trust that we've built, because I understand the dog she is. See, you seem to think control is such a bad thing. Like, somebody has to be running the show. You can't have two. You go to any company. Is there two CEOs? Is there, you have board meetings, but all of those people have a certain percentage of control within the company. But there's somebody running the company. You go to work, you wouldn't want a boss that didn't know what the fuck he was doing, or didn't have control over the workplace or the situations that come up. You want a boss who knows what to do, right? This is why people use the phrase like, things are getting out of control. People tend to get scared when things get out of control. We want things to be under control. That's when things are smooth. People are at peace. Things are working in harmony, because all the roles are properly aligned. The communication is what it should be, and we don't have any fucking problems. Everything's smooth.
And that, I would say that the language you use right up front just is the dog needs to earn its way to be able to smell a tree, for instance. That's the strange parts that I'm looking at here. The dog shouldn't have to earn nothing from me. I should be able to say, I own a dog. I need to do stuff that the dog needs to do, so the dog can be able to relax and calm down, as opposed to me just saying, no, dog, you can't be the dog who you are. You got to just be what I want you to be. I don't want to change the dog. I want to be the dog that it is. And then the dog we don't need to have this struggle back and forth that a lot of people are having, because they can't keep up with this, say, authoritative, is that the right way of saying it?
Authoritative
style of being. That's just not what they're about. they're more of a permissive type person. But yet you still can be able to get what you're looking for. Maybe not this perfection. Your dog is right next to your side and is always there all the time, but we can still be able to replicate that in a way that I can allow the dog to do what the dog needs to do, allow the dog to be the dog. Because I would almost guarantee your Grey Goose, she has something in her that she desires. And do you even like think about that or focus on that at all? Or you just say,
yes,
you
but
better stay with me.
That's after we have fun after the power dynamics are aligned correctly, after she knows who controls everything, after she shows that she's respectful and going to follow the rules. But you could do whatever the fuck you want with your dog. That's when you can go train the dog. You want to build some skills in the dog because now everything is aligned up correctly. You have the right relationship with your dog. Yeah, go train it to do whatever the fuck you want. I don't care. You want to teach it to herd. It doesn't matter to me at that point. I can do whatever I want with this dog. I could throw a ball with it. I like to blow up balloons, and she likes to chase the balloon and pop the balloons. I like to, when we go, say to like the frozen lake we went to, she loved running around the little islands. She loved running around that. I just let her do whatever the hell she wants because she's earned that. But there's a time and a place for everything. And I'm not saying that you have to go through this whole process for a dog to just have some fun. No, there's a structure. Say the structure to my day would be, all right, there's a time for play. There's a time to walk. There's a time to eat. There's a time to relax. In my apartment, it's time for peace and quiet. When we go outside, it's time for a walk, but it's going to be structured and focused because we're not, you let a dog just do whatever it wants, and that's how you have problems. And see, this is what we got to get to this whole rooster thing, Mark, because you're saying let the dog express itself and do whatever and be the dog that you want it to be. Well, we saw that with Johnny and Oreo with the rooster. Those two dogs were definitely having a good time with that fucking rooster.
Because that's what they're supposed to do. I train them to do that, though.
You train them to attack the rooster like that.
I kill 1 to 5 roosters every day. And the one, when they start to fight, I let them to be free. I train these dogs, and it's taken me well over a year to get to the point to pin them. I'm not trying to put them in a coop. I'm not going in a coop with the rooster that's wanting to come back and fight me. And I grab that rooster. I take it to I got this little neck breaking thing in one of the coops, in the back coop, and I feed it to the dogs. That's their dinner every single day. I have trained my dogs somehow to hold it and be able to allow me to be able to pick it up so that I can go. So yes, I'm coaching it on. I'm cheering it on because that's the task that I'm having them to be able to do. A task that a lot of people don't understand because they don't deal with that. I deal with a lot of death and killing. Every day I'm killing something because they're eating. But most people, you go to the grocery store and buy the dog food and you don't look at that part of it. I'm getting my dog's meals in my backyard right now, every single day. So when I got it every day, I'm doing this. So every day my dogs are getting the skills needed to get better and better to be able to help me get their food. So of course they're going to be excited, man. Like that's wouldn't you not be when you got your steak and you got your grill going and you're watching it about to eat, you haven't eaten in 3 days, you're going to be crazy excited because I feed my dogs typically. So it's on a split that it's every other day, basically. So every day there's one going for a split between the dogs. And yes, that's their job. That's what I want them to do. That's what I need them to do. That's the part that I don't think that you're understanding by watching that video. You're like, I don't have control over it. No, the dogs are doing way better in reality than what it is that I'm looking for from them to be able to do. They simplify my life. I used to be out there for a half hour trying to catch a dang chicken or a rooster to feed my dogs that night. How stupid is that? I want to put the pressure on, get it right now. I want it done in 15 seconds so that I can move on with my life. That's a task that I put them to do. But I unfortunately showed that on camera, and I don't really want to show that part on camera because people get in trouble by showing that type of stuff. They show trouble for all that. But pig hunting, we're setting the dogs to go and bite and go and get it. Quail hunting, pigeon hunting, duck hunting. This is what I do. I'm training my dogs to hunt. I'm training like my Kahi, my shepherd, he's training to kill, to hunt. He goes and gets his own food. And I'm training him at this point today to go kill it, get it, bring it back to me so that I can split it between the rest of the dogs. You're not just going to sit there and eat it by yourself. I'm doing stuff that's not the pet side of things. I train. That's my dog training, but I don't put that for hire because who needs that? Who cares for a trained hunting dog to be able to go and get something? Who needs that? That's just fun background stuff. And most people, we just figure it out on our own. That's where you're taking a lens and not really knowing what it is. And I just let y'all just run with it because it's like, it is what it is. But me to capture, I've got, and these, I don't know if you know, these things can run. They're not slow. These roosters are fast. I'm training them to simplify and make my life easy. So I'm cheering it on. I'm cheering it on the lure course with my Dalmatian here to chase, go run, go get it out. I'm cheering it on. And that's the thing that I want people to really just be able to see in the side of the dogs a lot of times, maybe not all cases, but a lot of times are expressing control and dominating because we're not giving that dog what it needs. And then if we don't give it what it needs up front, then we're just going to keep on struggling. But if we just say, no, you got to act like this, you got to earn this, you got to earn that, then the dog it's not never, but it's most cases not going to like fully get out what it wants. It's always looking over its shoulder. Because the thing you're telling me about this, like my Oreo, my border collie, show me the videos of him moving stuff around. I don't want to speak words to him when he's doing what I want. I don't want him to look over his shoulder. I'm not doing this for a show. I'm doing this to get stuff done. And it's something that, unfortunately, you don't need that. You don't need that. You have no desire. But if you came out here and you're like, hey, Mark, let's catch a rooster. And I say to you, Kevin, let's get out here and let's catch a rooster. Me and you, no dogs, no nothing. I'm going to guarantee you're not catching it. You're not going to catch it. There's no way. It's going to be an impossible task for you to catch it. And I use the dogs to be able to do it. I kill these things every day. Every day. You do not have any experience with that. That's why I was like, just, you don't understand it. You don't deal with it. I'm not putting the rooster in the coop. It's pointless. I'm trying to get it so I can hold it, so I can break its neck, so that I can get it out of here. It's my dinner. Or some of them are my dinner. I got whole freezers full. Dog food freezers. I got my own food freezers. This is the differences. You're trying to critique my, say, permissiveness with my dogs in all the wrong areas. All the wrong areas. The dogs have something they need. And if we give them that, then they start to just want to relax and settle into just being more relaxed, more calm is the word I want to use.
Yeah, but that's not what you said during that whole video. You said, I promise the dog's not going to hurt. They're not going to hurt him. I swear. That's not what they do.
Then they don't, because I do that for them. I do not want these two, or is in the front. I do not want those two.
Why didn't you explain that? You never explained any of that while it was happening.
Because
you decided to say.
Hold on. I didn't explain it because I saw the video that you did and I let it run. I let it go. What's the reason to explain at that moment? What's the reason to do anything about it? I let it run, and they do not get a chance. My Johnny and my Oreo do not get to kill a single animal. That's my job. I do that for them. I don't want them to know what it's like to have to kill. I don't want them to have to, outside of a mouse or a rat. They do, or Johnny can't even do that. He's not even fast enough to catch the dang things. But they do get to kill the vermins. But their food, they don't get. I do that. So they pin it down so that I can come and get it, and then I kill it, and then I give it to them. That's my everyday process that I do on my farm. So yes, they're not going to hurt them. But can I show another video of a dog that will hurt it? Yes, my shepherd. And I can't show it because it's just, I'll get in trouble with all the animal rights people for one. But it's okay to buy your dog food out of the store, even though they're just killing all these animals behind closed doors. I'm just killing it on site, and it's somehow it's just it's a bad thing, I guess. That's the thing that again, I just let it run. I'm not going to say anything on it because you just don't know. And y'all's brains was just going, oh, look at these dogs, look at this. And I coach them. I'm like, come on, because in that video, you go watch it. Like, if I could possibly slow motion it some, you'll see that they were moving it around. But as soon as I said, get it, because I told Ophi to try to get her to engage, that's when the dogs put the pressure on. Because that's my language to them. Get it, man, get it. Because I can say that now, and even Johnny's look, he'll get this little look, because that's the time to put the pressure so I can get it. That's stuff that 99% of people don't need. I do that because I feed my dogs from stuff that I raise out here. I don't go to the grocery store, to the feed store to buy food for my dogs. I raise it. It's a different scenario here.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is during that whole thing, you could have just said, "Hey, I'm about to process this rooster. Like, don't mind them. They're getting it ready for me to go kill."
So the thing is, I could have. My mind is already where I am, and I can't just go. I'm just going where I am, and I could have said this. I could have done this. It just happened. It happened, and I moved on from it, and I moved away from it. Because the instant that, say, I got Oreo out of there, I'm realizing we're not going to actually eat this one right now. Johnny stayed, and he had no chasing, not a single thing out there. He gave a couple. He always gives him a little bit of a side eye, but he goes to zero chase, full pursuit, to 30 seconds later, hanging out amongst them. That's the part of the power that, unfortunately, the narrative that you were really pushing on that video is not seen. The narrative of, look at these dogs are out of control, they're expressing power, all this stuff, but yet the Dalmatian didn't. I mean, she got a little look into there, but she no reaction. And as soon as that hostile, I don't use the word hostile because it is hostile. It's crazy to go hunting. It's not just this pretty stuff. As soon as that was over with, right back to just calm. Everything just stopped instantly right after that. Did I have to call him back a few times? Yeah, because I just stopped him from doing.
Yeah, like 8-9 times, Mark. They did not want to listen to you. 8-9 times.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's where I would say that's why I made that video on. They're not. We got to get this done. Let's just go ahead and get our food right now. But did they kill it? Did they hurt it? No. They let it there. They did put the pressure that I wanted to put the pressure on to get it to submit. But did they kill it? No, they didn't. And Johnny is getting so good that the dude is putting his gangster paw on it and making sure that it can't move. Because sometimes it'll sit there and submit, and then I'll go down to get it, and the thing jumps up and it gets all in my face. I've been hurt by these dang things. This is the thing that some people just.
You're accusing me of creating a narrative, Mark. All I did was compare your dogs to other herding dogs, herding the same animals.
That's the problem.
It was an objective comparison.
I hear you, but that objective comparison isn't going to the subjectiveness of the situation. You're thinking that I want my dogs to do what those dogs look like. No, I don't care what
you. They didn't have to put their mouths on the dogs, or they didn't have to put their mouths on the roosters. Why would you want to stress the rooster out like that?
They're not picking them up. They're not killing them. Those videos, show me a video.
Then you should have made that. You should have made that clear. Then you should have made that clear that hey, we're about to process this rooster, and my dogs are getting ready. You didn't say any of that.
And I'm making it clear. I'm making it clear. I'm going to
do
it again
now,
tonight.
A week later.
Exactly, because I allowed y'all to just let it go.
No, you seem pretty bothered about it, and you want to talk about creating a narrative, but you like to put you and Robert like to put words in my mouth, saying I say I'm perfect and I'm flawless.
You just did though. So hold on.
Yeah.
You said when you show up to the house and you give them the instructions, all your clients have been good to go. You just said that 45, 50 minutes ago yourself.
Yeah, I said sometimes I show up to clients' houses where there's a new issue that I have not encountered before, and I'm going to figure it out. But I'll tell the owners, like, hey, this is different. This is new. Let's figure this out. So that's why you accusing me of having a flawless system and being perfect. You find one video where I've said my shit's perfect and I'm perfect and everything's flawless. I've never said that.
How do I say this? It's implied. You don't need to use the language.
How is it implied? Why? Because I have a high rate of success?
No, it's implied because
my clients get what they want. Why is that? Why can't, this is about helping dogs, right? And you want to sit there and downplay and talk shit about the client testimony I have as if they're full of shit. People lie. So now you're saying clients are lying. People do lie. But do you really think people would leave a 5-star review at their own will? If they really didn't think I did a good job? People rate me highly for work quality.
Yes.
30. You're telling me over 30 people are going to leave a 5-star review?
Yes, because when people are in their feel goods and it looks good in that moment.
Come on, no, you can't acknowledge the fact that I help these people and their dogs, and you won't even give me an inch or a morsel of acknowledgement. That's what it is.
I bet give that to you. I didn't say
you turn around. You call my work elementary. You said what I do is elementary, and then you want to turn around and say, "Oh well, Kevin shows more than what most people do, and he does something pretty different." Well,
okay. If what's happening is elementary, what's wrong with that? If that's what the person is looking for,
meant that as an insult. You meant that as an insult. No, is what it was.
No,
yes, you did.
That's not what that is. That's where it is. That's what that.
You said no, because you said compared to what you do, what I do is elementary. That's what you said.
Yes, I'm trained dogs. I work hunting dogs. I work moving dogs. I work
I didn't see much training
dogs.
With that rooster, Mark. I see training with the other herding dog. I don't see much training with Johnny and Oreo with that rooster. In fact, the video you sent me, it was the same thing where you said I could tell Oreo down, and he looks at you and he's about to, and then he runs over, and you said
exactly because they're moving.
Yeah, but why don't you tell Oreo how to move the chicken or the chick?
I tell him.
Why don't you just tell him how to do that?
This is the thing. You want to try to critique something that you don't know. I don't. Well, I tell him the task.
I'm comparing it to other people that do the same thing, Mark.
No,
same thing.
No. Show me a single video of somebody.
Then how come you are so avoidant of showing how Oreo actually hurt? You showed a video today with the lion and Ophi, great, but you will do anything to avoid just showing how Oreo herds the roosters. Why won't you just show that?
You saw it. I don't want to
That
show
was
that
not
for the
hurting,
public to
Mark.
see.
That wasn't hurting. That was we're going to attack this fucking rooster, and that's the end of it.
Okay.
And you tried to call him off. You weren't successful, but yet in the video you said, "Hey, you build
This is you.
And you can get a high level of.
This is you trying to
really respond.
This is you trying to change focus again here. You're trying to change focus.
No, I'm calling it like it is, Mark. I'm calling it like it is.
What is the task?
Hurting
what is
roosters.
No. See, this is the thing. You're wrong. What is the task?
You did not make it clear what the task was. That shit happened right in front of you, and you never said, and you could have made it clear, like, hey, they're about to get this rooster ready for me to process, so just ignore him.
Hold on. What was the task?
But you didn't. You didn't, did you?
What was the task?
You never said what the task was.
I just explained it right now. I explained it right now, and you're trying to like go right back to old stuff compared to what I just explained.
I'm going back what you said. I'm going back what was said and what was not said. That's what I'm going back to.
I don't know why this is deep in your feelings, but what was the task?
I'm not in my feelings. I'm holding you to task is what I'm doing, man. I'm holding you to task. Yeah.
The task is get the rooster so that I can pick it up. The task. That's the training, the task.
You never said that. You never said that.
I don't care. So I made the video with the bucket. What was the task in that video with the cows and the Oreo in the border collie?
And why couldn't you do that again with the roosters? That's my question.
Because
you did it with the cow. Why couldn't you do it again with the roosters?
I just explained what the task is. The task is to hold it down so that I can pick it up. That's the task. The task when I'm walking around with when I'm walking with the feed buckets is to make sure that all animals, all species are away from me with this feed bucket. Did I explain to Oreo left, right, down? No, I said get him out of there when they got in there. He did it in any which way he decided to do it. I tell him a task and I leave him to that task. That's where I'm creating an independent, free-thinking, self-learning dog. Not a dog that is dependent on every little word that I'm stating to him to be able to do. That's what you're looking for. That's why I'm saying you're trying to.
That's not what I'm looking for. But the other recording clips, that's what those people had. They had such a high level of control and obedience from that dog, and they got the test done. You said in that video, sometimes it takes hours to get this done. Why would you want something that could take minutes?
I said he could. Yes, you did. I said he could sit here for hours and do this.
No, you said he does, and then he'll sleep, and you don't want a dog that sleeps. That's what you said.
Exactly. If I just allowed him to freely just do that on his own. Exactly.
So why don't you just give him more direction? That's my point.
I do. You saw a video of them doing that. I said, get it.
With the cows. With the cows, not with the roosters. With the cows. Yeah. This is the first time I'm hearing about you saying that their job is to pin the rooster down so you can process that. Yeah, I didn't hear any of that in the first video we saw.
What do my dogs eat? What do my dogs eat?
Well, you just said they eat the chicken, or the roosters. They eat the chickens, right?
Oh, yes. So how would you go about thinking that you're comparing what I'm doing compared to watching a video of them not having no task, but just moving stuff around?
I'm just saying you never said that. You never made that clear.
I just did. And you're still
You just did. Right. You just did.
I'm saying it.
After the fact, right? After the fact.
And then you're still talking about what was seen a week ago. And I'm telling you what it is, and you're still going back a week ago. I'm trying to get you to let's move forward because I just explained what the task is. And
here's my problem, Mark.
I'm doing.
There's a lot of people that sit and talk in front of a fucking camera in this dog world. And rather than you just showing, or you could have explained as day one what their task was, but you go on these tirades and you make these slick remarks in your videos that I know are directed to me, but you won't be direct to me and just say it unless it's in the comments section. And my issue is all you would have to do is show proof of work. And if you've had clients, you're the one that says you can never achieve long-term success. I'm sorry, but I have. Whether you want to downplay that or say that's bullshit, I don't really care what you believe, but that's the truth. So
and that's where
if you want to show us, you said Oreo was the best of the best, so show us.
I have.
You showed one demonstration with the cows, I'll give it to you. That was a good demonstration. I'll give it to you.
Show me, so I can send them. I don't want to send it. I'll do a private video for you, but I don't want this for public because I don't want to see savageness.
But you'll demand proof from Christian Hirschman about and for the comment you guys deleted on that live stream of that woman who said she's tried what you and Robert have told her to do and it's not working. You guys deleted that comment and then you demanded proof from Christian, but you don't want to provide proof.
Do you not know that people themselves can delete their own stuff?
Why would that woman delete the comment?
I haven't deleted a single comment on my channel since I started it.
It's conveniently gone.
Someone else can delete stuff. It is what it is. You can speculate all you want, but
no. When a person deletes their comment, it deletes the whole thread. The rest of the thread was still there, but that comment was gone.
If I delete it, it would do the same thing. Make it make sense.
Maybe that's true, but that comment is gone.
True. Okay, and that's not on me, and I don't even care. I do not mind when somebody writes a comment and says, "Hey, buddy, this is stupid. This didn't go anywhere. This didn't do nothing for me." I get that all the time. And I get people that they're like, "This is too hippie for me. This is too new age for me. This isn't the flow that I'm looking for." I get that all the time. I don't get comments all day that are just like, "You're the best, it's the greatest," but I do. I get emails. I get or I'm gonna say letters. I have a private letter. I get emails all the time. I get comments of all the time saying, "Wow, Mark, you've really not only just done something for my dog with me to look at them, but you're helping me in my life with stuff that I didn't realize that I needed to still keep working on." That's my channel.
And that's great.
That's what I do.
I'm not going to take that away from you, Mark. I'm not going to take that away from you. The people that comment and say, "Hey, this helped me." That's great. I'm not going to, because this is about helping the dogs at the end of the day. But you got no right to make slick remarks about my success and tell me I'm wrong, because I never said I had all the answers. But you're willing to admit that you don't have all the answers, but you're going to insist that I'm wrong. I got a problem with that.
No. This is the thing. I'm going to say you're wrong for the person that you're wrong for. You're wrong for my lifestyle and what I do and how I view and I work with my dogs. It is what it is. And I'm wrong for you and what you're looking for with what you want with your dogs. We are both wrong. So if I say that you're wrong and you take that don't take it in that personal sense as you say to me, it's not personal. It's just we don't do the same stuff. We don't do the same things.
We don't, but then you're going to sit here and tell me I don't get long-term results with my clients, and that's not fucking true.
Okay, and I also have a mixture. I don't really focus too much on this is the part where I might be messing up in my life in reality. The good ones, great. I see the dogs at the parks, at the trails, at the places, the stuff that I've worked, and still looking good, it's still being beautiful, awesome. But there's also the ones that I want to focus the most on of what's going on here? What's happening? That's what I'm trying to learn more on. That's why I would watch you to figure out those ones that I'm just like, what's happening? Because nothing's perfect. They're not good to go. There's a lot of times they'll answer the phone and I can hear the hesitation in their mouth, like, it's good, but and I want to get through that but unfortunately most people are just they don't want to push through that but. It's something in us that I don't know what it is. Some people, when you just run into that case, that's the ones I'm focused on. The ones, I have people that their dogs are freaking absolutely amazing right now. They are running and going and playing and doing and the same thing. But the main thing behind that is how I'm able to help certain people out that say the way that you talk about just wasn't helping them. I have a completely different approach. I say, let's start letting the dog chase first instead of worrying about having all the you got to earn it. Let's allow the dog to be able to be it, and then we can start to be able to work with each other here. I come at it, in an opposite approach, looking for the same result in the end. And for me personally, I like the way that I'm approaching it because it allows my dogs to be able to, so for instance, allow my dog to chase. It allows her to go hard. I mean, hard. She has no hesitation, no looking over her shoulder. She just goes. I like that in the dogs. And I personally believe that brings the dogs more fulfillment in life rather than you got to earn the chance to race. They're kind of looking over the shoulder a little bit with that concept. That's all that I'm saying here. We get to the same in the middle, but we start on opposite sides. I don't believe that taking a dog on a flirt pole and say like this. You got a dog in your house right now. You're a dog owner. My dog is acting a fool. I don't know what's going on. I don't know where to go. I'm going to upfront say we need boundaries. Stop touching it. Stop this. I'm going to watch them and see. But let's get that dog in some sort of fulfillment. Let's get a flirt pole out. Let's get it running. Let's get it going. Let's get it moving. I'm going to allow the dog to express its control over that game. I'm not controlling the dog. I'm not doing obedience. This is the thing that a lot of people I personally see mess up with it. They're layering obedience stuff with that. Allow the dog to do what the dog needs. It's got a desire in it. Let them do that. And then we can go ahead and come back and be able to keep working so that the dog sees it's seen. It has needs and I supply those needs. And then the dog has this sense of appreciation because I've satisfied those needs.
Then how is it that, okay, if I let the dog express itself, its drives, I'm increasing that drive. Why would I want to increase the predatory side of the dog? This is where guys like Brandon Fouché, right? Man has a 4.5 star rating and over 250 reviews of. Yeah, the man has a very, very long track record of success, and he doesn't do this shit. He's all about socialization and, of course, understanding dominance and the social nature of these dogs. So how is it that he can achieve, and we're talking about red zone cases, we're talking about dogs who seriously have the intent to hurt people and other dogs. How could that man achieve such a high level of success not doing the shit you're talking about?
Because he is, I would say, the same demeanor as you.
Yeah, but he has a very hands-off approach, right? It's more of a dog-to-dog thing.
It's the body presence is the power to the dog. It's not our words. It's not anything else. It's our body and how we portray our body and move our bodies. I can give my dog an eyeball.
You're not understanding me. What I'm saying is how can he work in a facility where he has dozens of previously serious aggressive dogs together, have them socialize with each other and not have any fucking problems when he's not out there having them chase shit and throwing the ball. And these are the things he promotes. He very much speaks against this stuff. How is it he can have groups of dogs in a facility in close proximity with one another and not have these problems?
And I would want anyone to watch videos of how he's doing that and obtaining that and see how the dogs are looking at him and how the dogs portray him. The dogs are in total, the word I'm going to use here is forced submission, not submission because of the person is.
It's not forced submission.
every time he's walking around those dogs put their heads down.
You're confusing fear for respect. See, this is the thing, Mark. This is my problem with guys like you and Robert. You want to put human qualities onto a dog rather than understanding just how dogs are. And there's people that commented on my video, that video where I had a Brandon Fouché and said this is what real dominance look like. That was the same. There was a theme of those comments and saying, "Well, these dogs are scared." No, you are confusing a dog showing submission and respect. Again, that word respect. I don't hear. Hey, Robert, where is the word respect mentioned in Skinner's work in 21 fucking books? Where's the word respect? It all comes down to respect. So those dogs respect him. And they respect the authority figure that he represents. It's not fear. If those dogs were true, I've seen videos where the dogs congregate around him and they very much want to interact with him. If they were truly scared of him, why would they do that? And I'm not talking one or two. I'm talking like a group. They get around him in a circle and they want his attention. Why would they do that if they were scared of him?
Do you not understand this dog in the same sense as this, that when you, let's just do it in the man sense, but a man keeps a woman prisoner, the woman starts to bow down to him. She didn't get a choice.
Come on, Mark. This is talk about creating narratives. Talk about creating. Is my dog a fuck? Is Grey Goose a prisoner? Are you a prisoner, Goose? Yeah, you're about as calm. Your doggy Xanax, right? Are you a prisoner? She's got it good here, Mark. And we got such a good relationship, me and her. And I had it with my other two dogs, and they did not fear me at all. They respected me, and I could do whatever the fuck I wanted with all three of them. And that's what I wish for every single client I have. Yeah, but what you're saying is We're talking about the truth, right?
Hold on. Your language right there is the perfect language that I want everyone to that's a perfect clip right there. I could do whatever I want to do to these dogs. That's the language.
No, not to them. I'm saying I've reached a point with my relationship with them where I can, if I want to throw the ball, I can do that. If I want to walk down a busy street with her, I can do that. She ain't gonna run the fucking road. If I want to walk her in the forest, that we could do that off leash, no collar, nothing. She ain't gonna chase after shit. If I want, I could take this dog anywhere and we could do whatever we want. I could engage in whatever activity I want with her because there's no issues, right? That's what I'm saying. You build the right kind of relationship with your dog, and you can have your cake and eat it too. But you want to have your cake and eat it too in a different way, where you could say you could be this permissive, let the dog do whatever it wants, and that how's the dog going to see you or respect you as an authority figure by doing that, by playing a passive role in its life?
See, that's the thing, that I don't think your brain can even see it, even understand it. You're going to look at, because this is the word, unfortunately, like Dale has triggered this to try to use it in a negative note of using that word permissive person, trying to like almost demasculate a person to say, if you're a permissive, you're a less than of what a man represents. Because a lot of trainers,
I'm saying it's a weakness. It's a weakness. Yeah, I'd say it's a weakness.
It is not. It is not, though. It is also a huge strength. That's the problem, that I don't think your brain can see that you think that the only thing that is powerful on this planet is something that is authoritative. authoritative to the core. You can't possibly perceive the concept that a permissiveness can be, even at the end of the day, in some cases, more powerful.
Well, then how come the permissive parents create bullying kids, entitled kids? They create little fucking assholes.
And same on the other side.
Right. It creates asshole dogs because they're too passive. They're too weak.
But both sides of it, the authoritative person also creates that same exact thing. Both sides.
You're talking about authority. No, I don't know how you don't understand this, Mark. I made this very clear in more than one of my videos. Authoritarian is where you're this dictating, domineering asshole. Authoritative, didn't I say this earlier? You're warm, caring, and you listen, but you set boundaries and there are rules to follow, and you follow through on the consequences for not following those rules. But you don't have to be a dick about it. That's what I'm saying. I don't know. You keep wanting to conflate these two, and it's not the case. They're two very different things. I'm not an asshole to my dog. In fact, I'm very loving and affectionate to my dog, but we don't have any problems. I can do that. There's no reason for me to be disrespectful to my dog.
That's something that, don't take this the wrong way, but your energy, your content even that you do is hostile. So why wouldn't I think
I'm very assertive and strong in what I say, Mark. And some people don't like it. I could give a fuck less, right?
Exactly. You're very assertive and strong.
Yes.
In your creativeness of that you do. So you being really of that side of it, you are going to have a dog that's going to be that, say, reflection of that. That's why I'm saying what you're telling me is very off-putting in a sense of you're trying to say you're not as authoritative than you say you are, but your creative side of doing it
did take you 8 times to call your dogs off a rooster, so maybe they don't respect as much as you think you do.
Or maybe I don't care that I need it to be perfect like that.
You don't care, but you're going to tell me that the way I handle my clients that I don't get results, but you.
I never said that. I have never once said that you don't get results.
No, you said I can't achieve long-term results.
Have I not commented on your? But at the same time, no one can actually verify that. No one can verify that. The thing that I'm saying is,
are my reviews not testimony?
The thing that I'm saying is, so you got 30 reviews in the last 15 years? That's 2 a year.
No, that was for 1 year, Mark. That was 20. See, you guys have an issue with paying attention. That was 2024, and that was only for the people that hired me on Thumbtack.
Hold on, I'm saying to you, you say to me, because I said the long-term results thing. And you're saying, because there's a video or 5 that you're saying that you gain long-term results for your clients, as if there's never been one that didn't work, that failed out.
I never said that. I never said that. Exactly. I make it very clear. I make it very clear in my videos. No.
But that's hard for your brain to hear me say it. You can say it yourself, but it's hard for you to hear it out of my mouth. To say, hey, man, some of the dogs that you work with didn't come out right. Because you start to get defensive when I say that.
No. Listen, you're misrepresenting what I said. I said the people that stick with me long-term and are consistent get long-term results. The people that don't, they don't get the results, Mark. It's pretty cut and dry. And I said that before.
And that's all that I'm saying to you.
Yeah.
That's what I said out of my mouth to you. But you get defensive if I say it, but you can say it.
That isn't. I'm not being defensive. I'm paying attention to what the fuck you're saying, Mark. There's a big difference. What you were saying was earlier, you're saying if you take this challenging approach to things, you're going to have problems somewhere else. And that was your experience. And I'm saying that's not my experience. You're trying to tell me if I go about things the way you do, people are going to have problems over here, problems going to pop up over here. That's not what happens, because I have a holistic approach to this.
So this is I'm going to say straight up in the easiest way I can right now, the difference between what you just said there and what it is that and even what Robert talks about. You're saying that people stick with you and stick with you and stick with you and stick with you. That means that there must be new issues that are keep popping up over and over and over that you need to keep on addressing.
Mark,
you said that yourself in this own video right now.
Listen, okay, let me break this down, because you're accusing me of my brain not understanding you. Let me break this down to a kindergarten level. Someone hires me. They describe the problem they're having. I explain to them what I think's going on. We set up a session. I go to that session. I assess the dog. I assess what's happening. What is the dynamic between the dog and the family? And then I figure out what is the strategy moving forward. I follow up a week later after I get those instructions to them. I ask, how's everything going? They give me a progress report. Hey, this is going great, but I'm having an issue getting this to work. Okay, let's get on the phone and I'll help give you further guidance about how to work through this issue, because it's the same issues we worked through when I was there, but maybe the person's struggling on how to implement it correctly. That's the further guidance they need. My average sessions for my clients, Mark, is 1 to 2 per client, and then they don't need me anymore. Now, my greatest successes are people that have remained in my life. You know, I have good relationships with the clients that stick with me. Like you see Grizzy on my channel all the time. I have great relationships with them. The people that hire me, I tell them, hey, your dog's welcome to stay with me when you go on vacation. So I have dogs coming here. People trust me enough to leave their dogs with me while they leave town. And that's more than one of them. So to sit here and say to me that I'm trying to misrepresent how this all goes, no. There are people that drop off because they don't want to do the work, and there are people that stick with me because, again, it's a process. You have to work through things. Some things aren't going to happen overnight. I'm teaching the people the skills, and those are skills those people didn't have before, and sometimes they're difficult. So that's the struggle, is getting the person to the level where they can interact with the dog correctly.
Okay, so as far as, say, the people that fall off, do you ever question why, or you just move forward?
I move forward because why? If you're not going to take the time to call me and say, "Hey, Kevin, this is I'm having trouble with this," and then you don't want to and I follow up with everybody. Sometimes they don't respond. It's like, well, okay, so be it. I'll move on with my life. The people that stick around me, they get long-term results.
That's the voice of the people that I get in contact with when someone comes in and tells them to do it like this, and they're like, they can't do that. That's just not who they are.
Well, so then maybe they shouldn't have a dog, Mark. Maybe they shouldn't have a dog.
That's getting in communistic type talking. We can't do that.
No, like I said, maybe some people shouldn't have a pit bull. There are people that shouldn't have a Cane Corso. There are people that shouldn't have a German Shepherd. I meet these people all the time.
I'll agree. I'll agree with you on that.
Well, that's just the truth. That's the truth of the matter.
I'll agree with some, but the concept of when somebody doesn't say take your advice, the reasons on why they're not able to do that. That's the core thing right now, that in reality, why a lot of people are struggling, because somebody comes in and they're telling them to do it like this, and that person is incapable of being able to do that, not even to the point that they just don't say have the time. Some people, because I know you ran into this, you go there, you show them what to do, and they literally just do nothing. Like literally.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. They don't put in the work. Right. Yeah. They don't put in the work.
But there are others that are implementing the work, and it's not going anywhere. Because I've been in houses
that's not been my case.
You're telling them something and they're all like in their phone over here and you're wondering why I'm here. Yes, I'm not talking about that client. I'm talking about the clients that you came in and gave them this guidelines. This is the easiest way to put it. That's what we all should be doing, is giving them guidelines. You got to do this, this, and this, and this.
Instructions.
Instructions. Yeah. So when that person looks at that instructions list and they're not able to do that list because, say, it doesn't represent who they are, and they fall off, where does that person go now?
It has nothing to do with, Mark, there reaches a point where we have to acknowledge there is a truth in the matter of working with dogs, right? So you either are going to be able to, like, say I have a strong pit bull who is dominant, who wants to control the environment. If you can't develop the skills in yourself to give that dog what it needs, then you shouldn't have the dog. I'm sorry. The dog's never going to respect you. Give it to somebody who can handle it. This is not a controversial thing to say. There are dogs that are good for certain types of people, and there are dogs that people should have no business having. But people who are in constant communication with me, so I can give them all the guidance they need, they succeed 100%.
Because they align with your instructions.
Yes, it's an instruction manual on the dog, Mark. It's to help them understand the dog.
Yes. I'm gonna say yes and no to that. It's not 100%, because that's the part where you can get in and do that 5-minute. Just don't take it the wrong way, but do the 5-minute fixing it works, because that person was just doing something wrong, such as touching the dog at the wrong time, and you tell them don't do this, and we see fixed because they are already aligned with your instructions. Other people are trying to adopt a whole new level of life to follow these instructions, and there's no way they're going to be able to keep up with that.
Well, but you have to understand, Mark, it's because of the way the person is that these problems develop. So either you're going to change and rise to the occasion, because it's a personal challenge. Like I said, my boy, if I didn't become a stronger human being, a better man, that dog would have never respected me. That dog would have ran the house. I had to become better for him. Otherwise, it wasn't going to work. That dog had 2 owners by the time he was 1 year and 1 month. And the last owner kept him chained up outside 24 hours a day because they didn't know what the fuck to do with this dog. And this was a human and dog aggressive dog. Dominance, not fear, Robert, not fear, dominance. So, yeah, I had to become different to handle that dog. I had to become I had to find the strength within me. And I'm so glad, I'm grateful that Vern knows why I do what I do. He's why I do what I do. I would not be the human being I am today without that dog. So yeah, either you're going to rise to the occasion, or I'm sorry, you're not cut out for the job. You know, not all of us are mechanics. So what? Not all of us can handle horses. So what? Not all of us are meant to drive race cars. So what? Not all of us are meant to have dogs. So what?
So then that kind of goes down to the point of some people shouldn't get married, some people shouldn't have kids.
Yeah, some people shouldn't. Some people shouldn't have kids. There's a lot of shitty kids in the world because parents shouldn't have the kids. That's
the part where things get weird. That there should be a way that person is able to maybe not get this. Don't use this word wrong, but just say your stuff is perfect, and maybe they're not going to be able to get to that level, but they can get to somewhere good enough that they can learn how to be able to coexist, and things start to get better. Maybe they're not going to get that perfect. They're going to get to that point that they're just like they're pretty happy with. They call the dog 4 times and it comes back, and they're happy with that because it doesn't put anything in a jam. They're able to just take the dog and straight up. That's me. I don't mind saying the dog's name 3 times for it to come back. I don't need to say it. It needs to be sharp right on my side. That's why there's a differences here. That your instructions and my instructions are going to be a different set of instructions, so that person can be able to get. At the end of the day, I don't care what I want, what they want. What they are looking for,
right?
If they
want,
I have never met. I've had one person, but I've never had someone say to me, "I want to say the dog's name and it better run straight directly to me." I've never had a single person say that to me, not one. They're not looking for that, so I want to give them what they're looking for, and what they're looking for is something that I've been able to realize is able to tailor their experience to be able to give them what they want, and it doesn't have to come down to the concept of how else do I say it? I'm controlling everything, and I'm not allowing them or the dog to be able to say express itself. That it has to only be under me, and somehow I'm able to dance around this with being able to get what it is that pretty much especially the Dalmatian is the biggest one that I've started some dog training stuff on her when I first got her, but she's the one that's just I've been doing what I'm doing with her, and she's the if I get a new dog, I'm going to do this the same way. And I'm not going to say guarantee because nothing's ever perfect, but I'm just going to guarantee that I'll replicate this dog over and over, and I don't care what breed it is. And I didn't come at her to say, sit down, take the language rough, but sit down and shut up, that you better listen to me before I'll let you do this. No, I said, let's go and run, go get it out, go do what you need to do, go make it happen. And when she did that, this dog will listen anywhere, any situation, anytime. She's just the most sweetest, adorable dog. Sorry, Johnny, but she's the best dog that I have because she's the one I'm implementing what I'm talking about in my videos, the change that needs to be there. I didn't come in and put this sense of you got to earn your way. I said you're allowed it because you're with me. You're going to be able to do because you're with me. That's the opposite sides of what we do when we look at it. But yet I'm able to get something that at the end of the day, your gray goose, that's her name, right?
Yep.
And my Ophi we can walk in the same parks and they're going to look identical. They're going to look the same. They're going to act the same. They're going to function the same. They're going to be the same. They're going to literally look the same, because that's the parts about your videos that I was looking at of saying that I just seriously find trainers that have their dog in somewhere and just walking and not talking to the dog or even looking at the dang dog, but just be there.
Right.
That's the part that
I don't have to say shit to her. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's when I was watching. I was like, wow, that's what I am also able to replicate. I'm able to do that exact same thing. But how is that possible? Because with her, especially, my goodness, I am almost a little too permissive with her. I rarely put boundaries of rules. I say her big thing is if she wants to jump all on me, I say, no, get off of me. That's my biggest, get the heck off me. I don't want you to get on me. And And for her, another big one is she eyeballs me too much. So I tell her to just go in the room and just get off of me, like give me some space. That's it. And I'm able to get it. But the big key is I let her chase. I let her run. I let her do what she needs to do. Everything that everyone would say, if I let the dog do that, it would get worse. My dog only keeps getting better by the week.
Well, that's great, Mark. Listen, like I said, I'm not going to take anything away from you and your dogs, right? But if I come to a client's house, and listen, I want to explain something what I mean when I say a dog's got to earn it, right? What I mean by that, it's not this like asshole way of doing things. What I'm saying is, say I have a dog who's rough around the edges on a leash, and I were to take that leash off, and that dog takes off. Well, okay, the dog's not ready to be off a leash; it hasn't earned it yet. But there's a process we go through where the dog is now showing that it can have a little bit more freedom because it can handle it, and it's going to pay attention to me and follow me. Where, okay, now we can start playing with the idea of being off a leash, or giving you a little bit more leash, or being less restrictive about. See, there's the process is sometimes we got to be rigid about things. We work through this process, and then we can be lenient. We can ease up on the restrictions and the rules, and that's when the dog gets all the freedom it deserves, because now we don't have to. We've already gone through all that, and it's not this never-ending series of I got to control this dog all the time. No, there's a process. You get through it, you get to the other side, and now freedom. Right?
Okay, so here's the part. Why is the dog pulling? The dog is going. Do you address why it's doing that, or you just say no, you can't do that?
Most of the time it's because dogs are impulsive, Mark. They're impulsive. They're some dogs just don't know any better because people don't know how to use a leash the right way, right? I show up with a simple leash and collar. Listen, the way I see a leash is it's a form of communication, but it's a way to control the dog, right? So I teach people, here's how you use a leash and collar the correct way, where you're not choking the fucking dog, you're not putting pressure on the neck, but you're using the leash to apply pressure at the right moments to guide the dog. And you get it into a state of mind where now it's following you and it's not pulling. Now the dog's paying attention to you and it's with you. And now I can take the leash off. I don't take the collar off. I can take the leash off. I've shown up to people's houses in 15, 20 minutes, just showed them how to use the leash and collar the correct way. Dog's walking perfect. It's not this. So most of the time, it's not this drawn out thing. It's just that people don't know how to use the leash the right way.
And that's the part where I don't look at the dog that way. I'm going to ask why the dog is pulling to figure out what it is that they are desiring. And
there's
once
no
I give them what they are,
there's no structure, and it's an impulsive creature.
Structure.
Dogs are impulsive, right?
There is structure with that, because I'm going to realize my dog wants to sniff something.
I'm saying the pull. I'm saying the sniffing and the pulling and everything. There's no focus. The dog is just doing whatever the fuck it wants, because dogs are impulsive creatures that will just smell and sniff and pull whatever. We have to introduce some structure. Give some rules, some boundaries for the dog to follow, so it can focus on the task at hand. See, this is why I don't need exercise, Mark. Because if I get a dog walking right and it's focused, you know how much mental energy that burns for a dog to calm down and focus on one thing, which is you're going to focus on walking and pay attention to me. That's a lot of mental energy that dog's got to burn to control itself, because dogs are impulsive. Again, why would I want my dog to be more impulsive? I'm trying to get the dog to be able to regulate these things and get it to a follower mentality rather than trying to assert itself over everything in the environment.
Yeah, so that's, again, that you didn't really talk about what I was just saying there, in the sense of the dog is pulling, and why is it pulling? But you're just saying
no structure. I told you, no structure. No structure.
Hold on. You're saying to the dog, I don't care what your desire is on what you're trying to get to. So you just say, you better just stay with me.
It'd be the same idea as if I took my kid to the toy store and starts pulling toys off the shelf. Would I let the kid do that, or I'd say, hey, when we walk into the store, I need you to behave yourself, and maybe I'll give you a toy at the end of that. Maybe if you can behave yourself and be respectful, hey, little Johnny earned himself a little toy today, or a little action figure today.
That's not a good equivalent.
Listen, let me give you a better example. You ever seen the clip? It's a direct analogy. Have you ever seen the clip of the little girl in Walmart ripping shit off the shelves and throwing wine bottles on the ground? You ever see that?
No, I seen an email on it. I heard about it. Yeah.
Right. It went viral last year, and you know what happened? People were talking about it because this girl's ripping shit off the shelves in a Walmart and destroying everything. And this guy tries to intervene to stop her, and this woman walks up and she's like, no, don't stop the kid. You don't know what that child's been through. Let her get it out. I'm sorry. You're going to let this child just destroy everything in the fucking store, and it's not her property.
So that's a good one to say there. Why is the child doing that? What
Because
has drove the child to get to that point?
this is the whole point of my series, The Rise in Aggressive Behavior Between Dogs and Kids. Because of permissive parents, the child ends up believing it runs the show and it's entitled and it's too empowered. And when the child doesn't get what it wants, it throws a fucking tantrum.
And throws a tantrum. Why do you think that? Because maybe they weren't allowed to express who they are.
No, because it's a fucking brat. That's why.
That's the differences here. That's the big difference.
Okay.
You say to the
Mark,
dog, the dog is pulling, and you say to the dog, I don't give a crap what you want. You're going to just walk with me. And then once the dog learns, I can't do what I want. All I can do is be with this guy. Of course, the leash is going to come off.
This is a problem with when you make comments like that. This is a problem I have with it. You frame things that I have this mentality of like, fuck the dog. I don't give a fuck what you. No, I don't approach it. I don't see dogs in that way. I have a lot of respect for dogs. I'm approaching it in the way of, hey, this dog's mind is all over the place. Let's rein it in. Let me give this dog some guidance. Let me give it some leadership. Let me show it how to relax. Because that's not a calm dog. The dog's smelling everything and pulling and going. That's not a relaxed dog. So I give structure to the dog to calm the mind. Yeah, see, Robert, hey, I got a CBD drink right here. But I guess what? I never use CBD on a dog because you give a dog structure and that relaxes the mind, right? You're giving limits and boundaries to things. Now the dog has no choice but to settle down and focus, right? I give me 15 minutes with any dog on a leash, and you will have a calm, happy dog following along, enjoying that walk. I'm not shutting anything down. I'm not suppressing the dog's drive. I'm reining. I'm putting the dog of the mind into a state where now it's calm. It's relaxed. Like that video series with Cooper that you said that was not a calm dog. That dog's a flight risk, and I said based on what? And you never answered. But I did the same process with Cooper, and guess what? The owner said this is the calmest Cooper's ever been on a walk, and this is the first time he ever peed on a walk. Tell me that dog was so stressed out walking, he never went to the bathroom on the walk. But I took a hold of that leash and showed them how to do it. It's the first time Cooper ever got to pee on a walk. Tell me how, if I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, how was the dog able to calm down and pee for the first time in his like 3.5 years of existence?
Let's be clear. I'm not saying you don't know what you're talking about. You clearly know what you're talking about and what you're doing. It's just the differences here that I'm caring more about wanting to push the dog into being themselves as of saying to the dog, you have to basically at the end of the day be me. Your dog is 100% you. My dogs aren't. They do what they want to do. They have a chance to be able to express and be their own.
See, that's I don't understand what that language. I don't want my dog to be me. My dog is a reflection of the leadership I give it. My dog is a reflection of the respect it has for me. My dog is a reflection of the bond we have and the quality of the communication I give it, right? Because you seem to think it's a direct mirror. No. The dog is mirroring me, but not in the way you think. It's not giving me exactly what I give it. The dog is I'm showing strength. The dog gives me respect and submission. And it lets me have control over everything because I've shown the dog, like, hey, I'm the stronger one in this equation. I got you. You don't got to worry about it. I got you. I'm in control here. You don't got to worry about, don't just be a dog. You don't got to worry about nothing. I got it. I make the decisions around here, but you still have you've earned your freedom. So yeah, when I take Goose out for a walk and I do some my other two dogs, I don't care if they go smell stuff or if they've earned that. It's not a problem because they're not going to see a fucking deer and chase after it or see a whatever. There's no problems. We don't run into trouble that way. My dog's not going to run in the road and get by a car, right? Because dogs are, again, impulsive. Why would I want my dog to act more on its impulse when that's the problem to begin with, is the impulsive nature of a predatory creature?
And that's where I don't agree with you on that at all. The dog is here. We were breeding and they created them for a reason. Just because we don't have that reason for them anymore this might not be the right word because nothing is fair, but it's not fair in a sense to that dog that we're not allowing the dog to be who they are anymore. That we're putting them in this sense of this, you have to be this way, because this is the problem that happens to, unfortunately, a lot of the dogs. When you don't allow the dog to do what it needs to, it's going to manifest into something else. So it's the concept of
but I don't have those problems, Mark. I'm living proof that's not true.
But there's a whole lot of people that are, though. This is the thing. That a lot of people are struggling with that that they have a dog that it looks good for a bit, but then it's like something weird is going on here. This like go back to that story of the girl in the store throwing the whatever. Man, that was a huge thing. I kept getting email like every day about that mess. But if all I'm looking at is what she's doing in that moment and not paying attention to what's led us to get here, I'm not going to be able to get that child in a better place. I can get her to stop right now and say, we're not doing that here. But if I don't get into the brain of why did we get here? You're missing something. Something is missing in your life. Something is lacking in your life. Something is going on that
a firm hand, leadership. It's missing leadership.
No, but all that's going to happen with that is it's going to show up in another spot. Unfortunately,
no, Mark. No, it's not. No, it's not. That's like saying, well, I've done the Grey. I should have issues popping up left and right with Grey Goose if that was the case. I did not have issues with my other two dogs either. It's not true.
And again, it's your demeanor that you're with your dog and how you view them in your lens, and other people don't see that. You're not hearing the story from the people that didn't take your instruction list and they tried it and it didn't work.
Yeah, but I don't care because they didn't stick with me. I'm not for everybody,
exactly.
Mark. I'm not for everybody. And if you can't stick with me, then I don't care. I don't care. You go somewhere else.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly. That's this guy right here. This guy right here. That's what I come in the mix of.
And how many aggressive dogs? Mike, you've said you've worked with aggressive dogs, but how many? Where's the proof that you've actually worked with a dangerous dog?
Well, okay. What's considered a dangerous dog in your mind?
A dog that actually has the intent to harm and will follow through on it, and makes it very clear to you that if you fucking make the wrong move, it's going to harm you.
Okay, why are most dog trainers getting called into homes? Do you think it's because they're trying to figure out how to get the dog to sit, or the dog has already bitten and done something of savageness?
Yeah, most of my clients are aggressive or reactive or difficult, headstrong dogs.
And I'm the same way. Exact same way as me. I don't get the call because I don't figure out how to
well, one of us has clients. One of us has proof that they work with these dogs, and one of us doesn't. That's my point.
I have proof. I just don't have a display for everybody to be able to see. Well, I don't need that.
Yeah, but you demanded from Christian proof. No. You demanded from Christian to show proof that his advice was worthy of merit, and now you're going to sit here and say, "Oh, I don't need the validation, so I don't have to show the proof." It's a fucking contradiction, and I'm tired of hearing this. I challenge all the force-free people to show me proof, and they make the same fucking excuses, and I'm tired of it. You're either going to show the work and show that you can do this or not.
It's laying right there.
Yeah,
and
but we don't see much of that. We don't see much of that.
Video after video of this dog doing stuff that I put this dog in some of the most craziest situations.
And what about other people? I'm talking about client. I'm talking about you said you could not achieve long-term success with other people's dogs. So that's the proof I'm talking about.
So okay. I may have said that and had a clip of that. And that was the time when I was a balanced dog trainer. Perfect. You got me. I said that. And that's on record of me saying I didn't get success. And at that time I was a balanced dog trainer.
Yeah, and you were also saying you showed up
talking about the dog daddy. I was a full balance. I was full submerged, full in it. I thought that was the way. That is it. And that's what's going on here. I was in that. That's where I was. And I didn't get what I was wanting on a lot of stuff in reality. I made it look good. It looked good. And it would be good for a little while, but things would start to get a little bit weird. And then I was like, okay, let's just add this and then it'll be good again for a while. And so that's me. I know that wasn't the route to go. It just didn't give me what I was looking for.
Understanding, Mark. It's a lack of understanding.
Exactly.
Plus you admitted you showed up to a client's house with a slip lead and you said you were high most of the time. So if you're already showing up in a state of mind that's not ideal, so how does any of this have any sort of credibility in terms of comparing it to my work when you were showing up with this I don't even know what to call it. It was not a method. It's just I have a slip leash and I was high and I choked the dog out and I couldn't get results.
Because you're trying to compare what I was doing compared to what I am doing. What I am doing, I'm seeing something completely different.
Mark. Most of your videos, you're talking in front of a camera. That's most of what I see is you're talking in front of a camera. That's most of your videos.
It's theory. It's conversation. I'm not here to show somebody a leash technique to do because that could set someone up for danger.
And don't demand proof from everybody else. Don't demand proof from other people. Then
I'm demanding proof of a personal dog. That's the proof I'm saying. That what is the guy, the Christian guy? I don't see him with his dog. I'm see that Dale got a dog. I forgot to put a comment on that. Say, good, congratulations, man. It's a cute dog. I like those big ears.
Yeah,
he got a dog. Okay. But you got proof. Your dog. I don't care
Yeah,
about
I
client's
got
dog.
proof, and you still want to tell me that I'm misguided in my assertions here.
Not at all. I'm saying your proof for how you are, my proof for how I am. I do not need to be you to be able to get the proof that both of our dogs can be side by side and look very similar. Very similar.
Yeah, but again, how does that
They're
translate to
not
help
nervous. They're not
people
scared. They're
with
not
their
shut
dogs?
down. They're not avoiding the world. They're in the world. They're doing this. We're coming at two opposite sides and able to show the proof that it looks you. Anyway, no one will know the difference.
Now replicate that from dog to dog to dog, client dog to dog to dog.
And that's what I'm currently working on over and over and over. I found a new level of knowledge where my old knowledge didn't go anywhere. It didn't work. So I needed something new. And so I found something different that was completely different in reality from what it is that I was doing. So I took a leap of faith of, let me just try this out. Let me see what's going to happen. I only got one life to live. I want to figure things out here. So I've been testing that over and over and over. I've been testing that with different friend peoples that I got. I've been testing that with little stuff that I've been putting out there with talking to people on the trails. I've been testing this everywhere to see where does this actually lead somewhere good? Can this be repeatable over and over and over again? And in my experience so far, I get texts, I get emails, I get calls from people that are saying, thank you, Mark. I'm finally getting somewhere that I've seen peace in the house. It's no longer chaos in the house. Yes, I am currently working on that. You have, what I want to say is your method that you've been doing. I don't want to use the word method, but your style that you've been doing for so long. I'm just getting to the start of my style at this point in my life. I'm just getting started. And the start that I'm getting into, and I'm seeing results repeatedly over from it. For some reason, there's people out there that want to just like, that can't be right. That's wrong. There's no way that's going to work. But yet it does. That's all. I'm giving pushback to that. That's all that I'm doing here. Is there a way that you do it that works? Yes. But there's a way that I'm doing it as well, and it works. Yes. Yes. And this is the part that I watch you, for instance, and I don't know why you watch my videos personally, but I watch you to figure out if I do find that client that is looking for something different. I can say, hey, man, call this guy up. He's more aligned with what it is that you're looking for and how you are. That's how it should work. Not me say I can do it all. No, there's going to be someone that's just, buddy, call Kevin, man. He's got you, man. Just call him, get on a Zoom call with him, and he's going to watch you and figure it out, and you're going to get so much success. And the same with you. You get that client that looks at it, you can see it in their eyes already. They're like, I don't this. That you just refer that to me. We work as a team in this, but Mark, we can't do that as a community for some reason.
Right. No, and I've done that. But the difference is because I have a wealth of experience with behavioral problems, but I've had people reach out to me and say, hey, I need this Doberman protection train. And I say that I don't train. I don't do protection work. You have to find somebody else. I don't do that. I don't train. But people that come to me for behavioral problems, yeah, I have a lot of experience. I have 15 years. Hey, Robert, you've been in the game 20 years. I've been 15, so I'm not that far behind you. 15 years I've been dealing with aggressive, difficult, headstrong, and dominant dogs.
That's the language that needs to change a little bit. That's the role of a dog trainer. They shouldn't be considered dog trainers coming in for these behavior issues because most people, unfortunately, I would say almost 100% of people, when they're calling the assistance of a, say, so-called trainer, they're needing something for a behavior issue.
Right.
That's our job. But this is the thing that, say, Robert does a lot of pushback towards. If you're a dog trainer, you do the training and you stay over there. If you're going to work with the behaviors with people, you go and you do that. If you are also someone that can do behaviors and train, then cool, do what you do. But a lot of trainers do not know how to work with a dog that is, say, expressing control and being in a very weird and just uncontrollable is the word I'll use. Most trainers don't know how to, they think that obedience is going to fix that.
And I agree.
Our brains don't look at it.
We agree on that, but Mark, that's the common ground right there. We agree that the obedience and the train, all that bullshit, it's not going to help you. I agree.
It's not going to help. It can give you something for this is what it's perfect for. If you're in a pinch and you need something right this second and something is just weird, something weird, you can get it, you can make it look away right now. But that's the thing of how I was saying how my training was. It would manifest somewhere else again. So in the moment, I can get it. Like I could say, best thing the word there is I could shut that behavior down in that moment. I can get it so that you're good right now. But later on, if something happens, we'll get it. That's what I wanted to get away from. And I've been able to figure out how to be able to do that with what it is that I do at this moment today. And I'm able to speak that in a way that, unfortunately, I don't know what this big problem is of someone being permissive they can't actually do on this planet. That's the part that is weird to me, as if only a authoritative. Can you say it again? I keep forgetting this word.
Authoritative. Well, let me finish what you're saying, and I have a perfect story for you, Mark. Yeah. No, let me tell you a story, Mark. It'll be quick. I showed up at a client's house one time, right? And it was a mother and her daughter, and they had this dog. Dog was unruly, right? And the dynamic of the house was that the daughter ran the show. Right. And so, again, I'm going to tie it back to the clip of the girl in Walmart. You know, you want to ask the questions of, well, why is the child doing that? And this is why I say it's entitlement, and the child's become too empowered, because I've seen this go into people's houses where, like in this case, the child was mouthing off to the mom, and the mom was trying to kind of let her know, like, hey, I don't appreciate that. Stop that. But the kid didn't care, because the kid didn't respect the mom. And the kid had an iPad in her hand, and she said something slick to the mom, and the mom went over and said, hey, no, you don't. I'm taking the iPad. So they got into a power struggle. Well, guess who won that power struggle? The kid. She stopped, let the kid win. Now, what do you think happens in a kid's mind when the parent, the authority figure, gives in to the kid? The kid thinks, I got all the power here. I run the house. Who are you to tell me what to do? And that's what causes the disrespect to the parent. And then the funny thing is one of the things she said one of the issues was this child was bullying the dog. So I had to explain to the child that hey, this is a certain way we got to handle the dog. The child was bullying the mom and the dog. So when I hear you say things like having a dog bully another dog, which that's not what's happening, creates another bully. That doesn't work that way for dogs, but it's the entitlement and the empowerment and the lack of structure, the lack of boundaries, and the lack of clear authority. Again, it all comes down to respect. That's when you're going to have a kid, a dog, doesn't matter. They're going to reach a level where they believe they have all the power, and then that's where the disrespect comes from. I've seen it with kids. I've seen it with dogs. I've even had, there's 3 dogs on my channel, Grizz, Milo, and Jet. 3 different breeds, 3 different dogs, but they all have the same mentality. And I've seen the same patterns of behavior in some of these dogs because they all share the same mindset. It has nothing to do with the breed. It's the way these dogs believe that they have to relate to their environment. They're very assertive, they're headstrong, and they're very pushy. But they all have the same patterns. They like to demand they like to demand things from you, demand affection. Or when Grey Goose had some bones in her mouth, they like to come over and bark at her to try to demand bark to get it back from her. They all did the same shit. When we were at the park, they would bark at her trying to demand she play with them. She wasn't having it. They all did the same thing. So if looking at that from a social lens, it's perfect sense to me. But looking at it from the way you're looking at it, you wouldn't be able to see that. You would say, well, I need to let the dog express itself. And no, the dog's being a little prick. And it knows it. And Grey Goose knows it. And that's why she puts them in their fucking place, to let them know, you're not going to disrespect me like that. Because the people you live with let you disrespect them, but I'm not going to let you disrespect me like that. Right? This is a social thing.
Yeah, so that's why for me, I dial it back. The kid's got the iPad in the hand, and we're in this situation. What is leading to that situation that we haven't addressed?
It's that's all I care about. Of the parent. It's a weakness of the parent.
So you can say it's a weakness of a parent or a misunderstanding of boundaries in the household. It doesn't need to be.
That's the thing. There is none. There is none.
And this is for me, so I can say it so everyone knows. You have to have boundaries. And the unfortunate thing is some people just don't. And if you don't have anything, if you are not able to just stay consistent with saying, I don't want this, that's something that we as a human need to be able to overachieve. Overcome. We need to get to the point that we can be able to do such a thing. And sometimes this is the thing. We're looking at it in a sense of I need to fix the dog in that moment, as opposed to, no, I need to fix me. I need to do something to me. I got to do something here. And unfortunately, a lot of this stuff works in like a backward sense. We'll deal with the dog for now, and then maybe later on we can fix ourselves to be able to adapt to where the dog is at this moment right now. That's the part that I don't agree with. I think that if your dog is acting a fool, you need to get yourself fixed. That's not the right word, but it's easiest.
I agree. No, I agree with you there, Mark. 100%.
And that's the part of, say, when you give your clients that list, that some of them can't do it because they haven't fixed things that they need to fix on that list. And that's where I like to always keep talking about. And that's why I'm just a head speaking thing that's not really showing how to work a dog, because it doesn't matter how to work the dog if you have problems that you're dealing with right now. And we have to fix that. A lot of videos I make it's not for the easy. I'm not saying this, oh, you're perfect. No, I'm saying there's something wrong with you. Something seriously wrong with you. Something like traumatizing wrong with you. You need to fix that. But I have a problem when I'm going to try to come in and say, fix the dog, when the dog isn't the issue, the human's the problem. So that's all I work at in that sense. So as much as I could say I'm here for the best of the dog, the only way the dog is going to be the best if the human is in the best state of mind, in the best place. And that's the thing. And this is the thing. You can be a, say, permissive person and still be able to get what you want if you know how to be able to, because you can't be overly way at that one end that there's no rules, there's no boundaries, there's no nothing. That's what people think of when they think of that word as permissive. That's not what that is. That's the unattended, the whatever out there. But you can still be somebody that is more lenient, that doesn't need everything. You can because the main thing I always try to show people, I'm going to give you 1 or 2 things that you need to focus on. And you're going to start to see things get better day by day by day. And these 1 or 2 things, I always look at them dead in the eye and say, this is going to be hard for you. It's going to be hard. It's going to be the depth of you to work on these 2 things. But if you work on these 2 things, just leave the dang dog alone. You work on these 2 things and you'll see that the dog will follow along with you. That's how I view and approach this. I don't look at it in the sense of I see that the kid is smacking some stuff around. I'm saying I kind of, unfortunately, in that moment, I got to look away from that, because what I do in that moment may just make things worse in the future, unfortunately, to make it so that's the word that I could use there is granted, there may not be trust in there, but if there was any trust in there and you did something to break that trust, now I got to build that up and this, as opposed to just sometimes something is happening and you have to look at that and say, I can't just walk away from it and then collect your thoughts so that you can figure out what to do next in that. That's what I speak. That's all that I care to really try to put out there. I'm not here to teach a dog technique. And that's the part of how you and I are very, very, very similar. But
I agree
outside
with that.
of it is I look at it more. Yeah, I look at it more in the sense of I want the dog to be able to get the outlet if it needs it. Not all need it. A lot of dogs, but that's me with, say, my personal experience. The dogs that don't really have a sniffing thing, a chasing thing, any of that, people usually don't have issues with those dogs. It's the ones that are obsessed over sniffing, the ones that are obsessed over chasing, the ones that are just obsessed over, like, just their eyes are just like going everywhere. Those are the dogs that most people are struggling with. And my way of looking at it is I need to give that dog something so that it could get out of them. And then I could talk to them and say, hey, I see you, man. Let's communicate. I can't do it the opposite way. I can't say, because now you're good, now you can do that. Just that's the differences on me and you. That's probably the biggest difference right there. I give more freedom up front. And then I'm able to say, not even dial it back, but they want to come and join me and want to listen to me. And you say, you got to earn this up front. And then you give that to them later on. That's it. But in reality, in the middle of it, it's all the same.
Hold on, Mark. Let me make that a little bit clearer too, because it's not, like I said, it's not that there has to be this huge length of time before a dog earns something. It could be as simple as for a dog to earn something where, say, I present a piece of food, maybe the dog gets pushy and tries to take it out of my hand. It's a matter of I set a boundary. I gently push the dog back. Now the dog sits and gives me its attention and is being polite and is no longer trying to take the food from my hand and is giving me its attention. It's showing me respect, and it's saying, all right, I'm adhering to the boundary you're setting. I'll wait. Okay, you've earned the piece of food. So we're building politeness, manners, and respect all in the same short little interaction. That's a social interaction right there. And a dog can earn something quickly, or a dog can earn something over a period of time. It just depends on the context, because everything's contextual, right? I'm not saying there isn't a time and a place for what you said, letting a dog just kind of have fun and do what it does, but I don't know. For me, I think it's more fulfilling for a dog to, say, socialize with other dogs rather than, say, chase prey or something like that. I want to get my dog around other dogs and let it socialize. That to me does more for a dog than chasing things. You know what I'm saying? So
So this is here where that example you gave is something that this is how I would do it. For instance, talking about the whole the treat aspect. If I see that my dog is like, hey, all excited over that. If I need to at first, because the dog is starting to get wild, I will leash that dog and have that treat there. Once you calm down and disengage and you're just like, whatever, it is what it is. And then I will give that dog that treat at that moment. That's what I guess I can say is that a boundary in place, but it's not a boundary in place that I'm like, say, using spatial pressure or my dog spatial pressure. If you don't have that on your dog, you got a lot that you need to like figure out. That's one way to really know what's going on with your dog. If you don't move, if you move and your dog just like looks at you like, whatever, buddy, like we got some stuff that core in us that we're lacking something, we're missing something, and we need to figure that out. But that's how I would do it. I'll have the treat there, or say the bone. I give my dogs bones and stuff all the time. And we're calm. When you're calm and you're just hanging out and everything is just fine, and then I say, okay, you can go ahead and get it. So then I no longer have this dog that's on this like thinking that because this is a big thing in a lot of people's households. Your dog is pushing you around, like, give me the food, give me to this, give me to this. My dog knows if it's calm, that's the only way it's going to basically get anything. And that's say the approach that I go. But it's going to, this is the thing. Some things are faster, some are slow. It could be 2 minutes. But I am putting that delayed gratification of you got to wait this out. That's how I see it. I'm not gonna like put it in a sense of you sit down. I'm putting in a sense of we just chilling, we hanging out. This is just what it is. Because sometimes for some people, that's what's hard to do, is to look at the dog and put that pressure of like, no, it's mine, don't take it. That's where say that list that you get to some people, they just like, I can't do that. That's why for me, there's that opposite side of they be passive about it. Just whatever, like literally whatever. But the dog ends up getting it in the end on that whatever sense, and it gets it, and it's cool with being able to, like, the word I'll use there is respect me about that. Because the big thing I just noticed with dogs is they want to calm. They want to be calm. They're not trying to stay in this high, frantic, all dang day long. They want to be calm like 99% of the day. So I focus on all of that. That's all I focus on. And then when we say that 1 to 2 or 3%, I let the dogs do what they want to do, what they need to do to get it out. To just be that savage beast that's behind them. Because a lot of these dogs, that's just how I see it. That's how I view it.
No, I agree with that, Mark. Here's where I change it just a little bit. And now, because I want, say with the food, I wouldn't want to tie it to a leash and just leave it, because I want to have that interaction so the dog understands.
No, I'm with the dog. I'm not just like back tying it, walking in a different room. No, I'm there. Because that if you just back time, it's not gonna. It won't do nothing for the dog. It needs to be, the reason you can't get to it is because my presence, basically, I'm here. But I don't need to do it in a sense of, like, don't take this the wrong way, because some people, this is where they mess up a lot with these dogs. I don't need to do it in a hostile sense. I could do it in a neutral.
I agree.
Sense.
I agree. No, and when I say like a lot of times I find it amusing, like it's fun for me to do that with, especially puppies. Like they want the food so bad, and so you don't have to be a dick about it or mean. You're just using your arm to kind of just gently push them back. You're like, no, wait, hold on, just so they understand. And then finally it clicks in their brain, and they sit and they're like, okay. And then maybe they go for it again. You just gently, hold them back. Like, wait a second, hold on. And then you wait. You see again. It's a process in the dog's mind. You see them connecting the dots and working through it. And they're like, oh, wait a minute. All right, let me calm down a minute. And then you see them. Then their eyes go to you. And then I give them the food.
So that process there. That's the process that in.
Let me say one more thing, because I like what you said about only giving the dog something when it's calm. And the way I word that in my instructions is, because it goes back to the petting and all that. I tell people, listen, you only give the dog affection and anything you would deem to be a reward, whatever, food, play, anything, when the dog is being calm and respectful. Those are the moments you could pet your dog as much as you want when it's calm and respectful. I want to promote that state of mind in the dog. So that's what I'm saying. I'll agree with you, and I include that in my instructions. Now, what I'll say is, like with setting the boundaries, I coach people through that in real time in my session. So it wouldn't be like I'm just giving them the instructions and walking away. It's like I'm showing them how to do it when I'm there. So that way, when I give the instructions, they're like, okay, we went through this, and they know how to do it.
All right. So that's a part of the instructions that I don't know how to simply say it, but just in your brain, you say pushing the dog away. That's like
not like forceful.
I hear you. I've seen the videos. I've seen it.
Yeah.
It's you're not slapping the heck out of these dogs. You're not going crazy.
No.
But it so I can even say in my sense, in the way I see that, I'm gonna say, I wouldn't do that, but there are a lot of people that they can't do that. That's too much for them. That's the
It
part
takes some
that you
practice
could say
to be able to develop the touch. Yeah, it takes some practice. I'll agree. It takes some
but
practice.
some people they don't like that dynamic sense of I have to keep like doing this to get my dog to want to listen to me type language. That's where say the approach that I look at it is the same exact thing, but just in an opposite
Yeah.
approach that I don't need to because
Sure.
the word that you use is that say power struggle. Some of these dogs you have one with a little ball and you're going
Right.
back and forth. That's a way that in your brain is like, well, this is just like this is say normal. Each of us are grow ups. Lets us see what is normal. What's normal to me and normal to someone else is like it's completely different. And because I grew up in a hostile place, so living here, I'm like, man, I live in like it's like so safe and so we got no cops here. It's just like it's like an oasis. But to someone else, they can't. They don't do that. They're not like that. But then that's the thing that someone would say is, well, you're not going to be able to have a nice dog if you can't follow through and be able to do something.
Sure.
Like that.
No.
And I'm going to say, no, you can.
Right.
There's another
Right.
route here.
No, and that's where I'll agree with him. Like there are some things, and I tell my clients this too. There are some things that I know people just aren't going to be able to do, and then I do it for them, and then I just kind of transfer it to the owner. Like there are some what some of us do, like the resource guarding stuff. A lot of that stuff I just do for the owner because sometimes it can be dangerous, and then I tell them why this is happening, I break it down for them, the principles behind it, and then I resolve that. But then I help them address everything else, right? So yeah, there are some things I'll agree with that. Like some people just can't do. You know, I've done this for 15 years. I just know how to do it, and I know that they're not capable. They just don't have that skill set. So in that case, and the one thing I teach my clients too is I always say progress over perfection. This doesn't have to be perfect. Like what you said earlier, like I don't need my my clients' dogs to be perfect. That's not the goal. I just want them to solve the major issues and then to lead to for things to get better, and so that they can lead a more normal life with their dog. And because having a dog shouldn't be a fucking headache. You know, it should be a good thing. It should be a benefit. It should be peace. It should be pleasurable. And so if I can get my client to that point to where maybe things aren't perfect, but hey, we address this big issue that's causing the disruption in our lives, and maybe there we have some minor issues but it's like, whatever. Cool. That's fine with me. If that's what you wanted, we got then success. We got no problem there. But I agree with you. It doesn't have to be fucking perfect.
Yeah, that's just the way that I'm seeing it. That I personally don't understand. At the end of the day, the pushback of basically, I could never be able to get a dog, like say an aggressive dog, to be able to be a non-aggressive dog by how I talk and my approach with what I do. And I'm going to say that's not true. That you can be able to get an aggressive dog to be polite and calm, and I don't have to use, at the end of the day, a single tool on a dog. I don't even, like most cases, you don't even need a dang leash on the dog. You're able to do that. But it's the little techniques and the little things of, I don't even want to use techniques, but the little things of boundaries in place that give us what we need. And some people, your boundaries, we all can't do the same type of stuff. We have to do what we can. And that's how I come in. This is where it's weird that what I do, it'll never work. That'll never go anywhere. But it does. And there's lots of people that get success from it. And this is the part that I know you haven't said this, but there's only one way to do this. There's only one way to get stuff done. That's a limited mindset that.
No, and I agree with that. I don't think there's just one way to do it. And I don't show up to my clients with that mentality. And I agree with you. To me, it's multifaceted. So I'll agree with you there, Mark.
Yeah, that's just all that I'm looking at it, because that's kind of unfortunately how like dog training is. They got it. That's it. You better look anybody else. Y'all can't get nothing. Your dogs, you're not going to get anywhere. That's the part that I'm trying not to like go into these like battles with stuff with people. But it's like, dude, like there is other stuff that we can do here. Like there are other options, and that's something that, I mean, even why I can even talk to you, because I know that you know that. It's just there's a lot of people that are only on this is it, because it's always the easy way to figure. You know, you get 100% success, and you're like, well, no. Where there's some people, a lot of people, actually most people are like, yeah, the reason they didn't, because they didn't do it exactly the way that I said did it, so that's why. Because there's no other way, that you don't have any other options. And that's dangerous at the end of the day for me personally.
Right.
And that's stuff that can get people to lead into absolute failure, because you could be watching a video of something thinking, hey, this is cool, this is great, I could do this, and my dog's going to be good. Then you end up doing it, and then things get worse to the point that you're like, what the heck's going on here? Because I don't know about you, but when I'm getting called in to help someone, I'm like 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th trainer. I'm not the first guy showing up. I'm deep in this. And then I feel guilty, like I kind of want to do it for free because I know you got money into it already. And I kind of got to get past that, my own insecurities, I guess. But it's like we're coming in to try to fix some old mess that's been going just crazy.
Right.
And it's so hard because we're watching stuff from people that at the end of the day, we need not to be watching and not doing anything about with, because unfortunately, most of it's coming down to obedience. Oh, just get your dog to sit and the resource garden's going to go away. That's
yeah, no, it don't work that way. It don't work that way. That does not work that way. No, and I'll say this too, Mark. And this is why, like in my instructions, I make it very clear to people. One of the most important things is consistency. And so that's why, say for the people that do stay in constant communication with me, I can't tell you how many times where I've given somebody a strategy, especially for these special cases where I think like, okay, I think this is maybe the best way to go forward. And then I say, reach out to me. I'll follow up in a week. You let me know. Is this working or not? Like, because I tell people sometimes, hey, we might have to tweak this a little bit or readjust some things. And I have to do that sometimes where I'll have to reformulate the strategy, or they'll call me up and say, hey, this is working, but this isn't. And then I have to sit down and re-strategize. Or maybe something is working and then it reaches a point where it's not as effective anymore. And then I got to say, all right, let's change tactics a little bit. What can we do? But the goal for me is just we get to the other side. But we're consistent in the way that we're not just going to give up on this, and we're whatever strategy we have, we implement it until it's not effective anymore, and then we change courses until we finally, I always call it getting over the hump. Like we get to the other side where we're at the other end of this process, and maybe we have to change courses here and there and tweak a couple of things, but that's fine. I got no problem with that, because I'm not going to sit here and tell the person like you did it wrong, or hey, you're saying something's not working or you're not able to do it. Let me find a solution for you. You know, I don't shame my clients that way. It's like, hey, this ain't working. Let's figure it out. We'll find something that works for you. Right. So I'll change tactics if I have to. But the main goal is like, hey, you hired me. We're going to find a solution to this.
Yeah. Because it's the part of the game that I'm exposing myself more into, that I'm starting to get a better, more clear picture of things, of the people that are just kind of like, say, giving up, but they still need help. And they've given up because they've tried it and they've tried it and they've tried it and they've tried it. And then it's just like, it's where do we go here? What are we going to do right now? And that's the audience that unfortunately is like almost the biggest audience at the end of the day. Why you think dog training stuff on YouTube is like, big stuff gets billions of views every single month. It's like, it's ridiculous. So there's that many people, but how many, say, even put in the sense of how many trainers are even able to supply that? It's not adding up. But most people are silent. They're struggling and they're not speaking up because they may have had a bad experience, or experience that just was like, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. Like someone could watch a video of yours, seeing you like push the dog away and be like, oh heck no, like that dude is freaking just smacking that dog. I'd never do that to my dog. Like, but that's their grown up way of looking. I'm saying grown. That's how they grew up to see some things. If you grew up in a way of like, I don't know who grew up in this, you're lucky. No, I don't know if you're lucky or not, but just everything was perfect and blissful, and you never saw any drama and chaos in life. Like, you're going to see that and be that. But if you grew up in the sense of just real world, I guess I could say, because a lot of these people that are, say, the extremists in this dog training, I don't believe I don't think some of them are real people, but they're definitely not living real life, knowing that there are some things that we have to do. That's the part of where I'll say with you that I appreciate if you do, you don't go to an extreme. And a lot of people go to an extreme and they say that this is how you have to do it. You'll go to a point that someone might say like, I don't know, but you don't go past that. You don't go further into that. You completely stop and say, no, I'm not about to fight with this dog. And that's where I say, I used to be messing up with my balance training. I would happily go to a battle with the dog. I said, buddy, I'm about to win. I'm a man, buddy. What are you gonna do to me? Like, I don't care about you. This is what I'm about to tell you to do. That's the differences here. And that's where, like at the end of the day, we are very, very, very similar, because we're able to, at the end, I don't care about clients' dogs. It's our own personal stuff, because your clients' dogs are going to look better with us because they don't know us. And there's going to be that little bit of that timidness, I guess I could say, that the dog is just going to kind of perform better because I'm new. Where the clients, they had that dog for, I don't know why people do this. You wait till 4 years and then you just do nothing about it.
Oh yeah, that's
4 years
the worst thing you could do. That's the worst fucking thing you could do.
But you get to it sooner. But unfortunately, that's happened because they got bad advice for the years before, and they just kind of given up and just quit. But the difference is here of that we're both approaching this very similar, and a lot of it say in a backwards opposite sense, and being able to actually be able to get stuff done. That someone says to me, because I don't know what dog trainer gets called in because the dog isn't like biting something or already put stitches in a person. Like those are the ones that I'm always already a little like, man, it sucks. You got 18 stitches. Like you still want to keep the dog after that? Like I'm impressed. Like, like let's get through this. But it really comes down to, for me, seeing that the dog has a need and wondering why I'm seeing what's lashing out and approaching that first, as opposed to approaching it in the words that you use is like you got to I don't want to use this in the sense because you've explained it in a way that's perfect, but in an overall encompassing, and you got to earn everything that you get from me. Where I say, hey, you know what?
Well, let me give that some context, Mark. So that's the context of that is strictly applied to dogs who are already demanding, disrespectful. They're dominating the environment. It's strictly applied to those dogs. You know, I put them through a strict process of, hey, you're already being kind of an asshole. So yeah, we're gonna take the privileges away from you, and now you got to earn shit. That's how we build respect back from that dog who already doesn't respect us. I'm not saying I apply that to every single dog, because there are some dogs who are actually on the more insecure end, and they need more confidence. In that case, I'm not going to make them earn every little thing. I'm going to help build confidence in that dog. I go about things a little differently. So I just want to give some context to that.
Yeah, I hear that. I understand that. It's not a huge difference. It's just a little deviation is I guess what I would say. It's a deviation. It's not even on the opposite spectrums here. It's just a little bit of a different path. And that's the thing of that one video I was talking about, the whole like the dominant parenting style compared to the unone. We're both in the center, but you're more on that side and I'm a little bit on that side. We're not on the extremes. And unfortunately, most dog training is on the extremes. We're both like, you're here, I'm here. There's things that you're just like, the word I'll use is leeway. I give leeway. I give it's okay. I do that. Where you're probably like, nope, I said it. Like, not saying it in a dictatorial way, but just like, no, this is what it is.
Depends. It depends. Some things I give a little leeway. It just depends on the dog and the situation. But no, there's some times where I'm like, we'll let that slide. And other times where, like, I like what Dale says, where he says all dogs have the same social needs and other dogs just have higher levels of that. Dogs that have a high level of that social need, where I need to be really strict about things because maybe this dog is really, really headstrong, really empowered and hurting people. All right, we can't let shit slide. But a dog who's just needs some, has a lot less of a need of that. There's certain things when it happens, it's like, just let it go. Just let it go. We'll hit it next time. Just let it go.
Yeah, because most people are in that. So on a scale of 1 to 5, that one that's just like, we got to do something now. Most people don't have that. They're more lower down. And the ones that personally that I see that end up being that are unfortunately, the treat trained. Everything is about food. Everything is about fun. Everything is about just get. I see. So we are actually creating that dog to be that. And a lot of dogs, when you stop that, that's where you're going to see the real dog.
They get demanding. They're like, give me some of that. Where's that fucking food, man? What are you doing?
Yeah, they get crazy. And that's the dog there. For me, I'm just going to have him on leash, and I'm just not going to like push or do anything, but I'm just going to be there. And a lot of those dogs, they have something that I can, like, it's not the right word to use, but it kind of just is. I can manipulate to put its focus somewhere else, as opposed to putting the focus on what it's been focusing. So it could be a run, it could be a game, it could be I don't like games, but it could be some sort of work like that I could change its focus to like, let's focus all this, like, say, pushiness and craziness into this, so that you can get that out. And then when we can come here, we can like be able to talk to each other, I guess I can say a little bit better. That's how my mind approaches things.
I think I understand what you're saying with that, Mark. And so there's a delineation between, say, okay, say I have a pushy dog, but it's in a disrespectful manner, and I clearly can tell the dog is it thinks it runs shit and it has all the control. That's one kind of pushy. But I think what you're talking about is this pushy, this kind of inability to sit still, and it's just constantly, the dog's constantly looking for stuff to do. I think, is that what you're talking about? Is that more pushy, where it's like the dog's just not settled and it needs to, like a working dog, like the dog I need something to fucking do.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the dog.
Yeah,
so,
I got you.
Yeah, because then that same sense, say the dog has something to do, because that's, say it's more, say genetic makeup of the dog that is, say, a natural sense of why it's pushy, over the dog that's pushy because we're doing the wrong things. A lot of people have the dog that is naturally pushy because it's not getting out what it needs. It's got something it needs to do. So if I could say get him to do that, now that dog is going to just like kind of settle and relax down some. So it looks like this is how do I say this? Because people get scared when they see stuff like this. This dog is biting, so let's play tug with the dog. I don't personally do tug stuff with dogs.
Yeah, I don't agree with that either. But I think it's a bad route to go.
But in some dogs, that may be what helps them out to be able to. Yeah,
and I won't deny that. Sometimes it works. But if I had a behavioral issue, that wouldn't be where I'd start. But
so that's the stuff that that's what I've been personally experimenting with and saying, let's start with that to see where we are. And I've been seeing things like really freaking cool from that. And that's the part of, sometimes these dogs are not being mean because of anything that, I don't want to use the word mean, but disrespectful for anything that we're even doing. It might be something that we're not doing in the sense of giving it something that it needs. And then we because that's the part when someone hears, oh, a dog is biting or expressing control. Why the heck would you play with the dog? Why would you let it run? That's like opposite. Like, that's stupid. You need to like get it to sit down and settle and sit down, shut up, and don't do anything. That's the part that I've been changing and trying different things and seeing about, of realizing that if I give that dog that, it finally just says like, hey man, thank you. I appreciate you. Like, I'm going to stop being a fool, being a mess. And then things can start to get to that better place.
Yeah. Let me give you an example where I agree with you on this. And it's because, but okay, Grizzy, he's been on my channel. He's been on my channel many times. Grizzy, he's become a teenager, and he was doing really well, but he started to get real antsy in the house, real restless. And his owner called me. He's like, Kevin, Grizz is just he's having trouble sleeping, and he's starting to kind of become a little bit of an asshole. He's getting pushy about stuff, and she said, like, can we set up a time to train? Can we bring him over? And I said, listen, no, I don't. That's because he doesn't do that with me. So what I recommend for you is get him around. Go have him. Now they used to take him to the dog park, but then winter happened and it got cold, and that's just not an option. So I said they got him into doggy daycare. And I'm not always saying that's the best route to go, because you never know what dogs are there. But in his case, that's what he needed. He wanted to go socialize, and he would come home and be so dead to the world. Like, literally show me videos of picking up his paw. He was so fucking tired coming home from doggies, because he got to play and socialize, and it was like that. So I turned down the money in that case, and I said, listen, he doesn't do this shit when he's with me, but I recommend, like, just get him around some other dogs. I think that's what he needs, and it ended up being what he needed. He'd come home every night, just sleep all night long.
Yeah. That's the part that I explore, say, more first nowadays with my approach, which is considered, say, more of me being a pushover, of allowing the dog to be able to do something that it wants to do. I'm not taking the direct control of saying, basically, you can this only if, so basically you can only do this if you are under my control. Then you can do that. And I'm working that backwards. And I realize when I work that backwards, the dog starts to want to be under my leadership. More sweeter word, I guess I can say. And it's more agreeable because it finally was able to do it. And a lot of times, a lot of people, unfortunately, are struggling. Hold on. A lot of Ophi, I don't want to knock this cord over. That's my power cord. We'll lose internet if we get that unplugged. Sorry.
Yeah. How you going?
Sorry, the internet already bad enough out here. I finally got it, so I'm happy about that.
That's smooth so far.
That's that permissiveness that someone would say is why I would never be able to get results, and it's all wrong and it's all bad, and and all that. And that's the part that I've been giving pushback towards. That can I allow my dog to do something that it desires and still get it to be able to want to be under my leadership? Yes. I don't need to only allow the dog to do something because it's under my leadership. I gain leadership because I see that the dog needs something and I give it to them. That's how I'm looking at this. And there's a lot of other sides of it that are just, that dog needs to be, not the word to use, but perfect already, like compliant with you, and then we can run. That's some of these dogs, a lot of people's dogs, unfortunately, it's why like a lot of dog training isn't working, is because of that concept that the dog isn't being able to do what it needs. So it's just going to keep giving you push and push and push and push and push. But unfortunately, some people, it's that push because of the treats and the eyeballing it too much, touching it too much, just letting it run an absolute muck, running a food. But those dogs are the ones in my mind are easier to say rehabilitate. It's the ones that were confused of like, what does this dog want? Because I'm like putting in my structure and I'm putting my boundaries in, but the dog is still just like, it's still wanting to give me this fight. Those are the dogs that I would say is maybe just need a little bit differentness that may not seem right in a dog trainer's mind up front, but it is right. And it can give you what you're looking for.
And this is why I look at things. Oh, go ahead.
You're good. You're good. I can hear you.
No, I was saying this is why I look at things from a holistic perspective. Because to me, it's not, I show up to somebody's house and yeah, if there's a lack of boundaries, we need to put those in place. If the dog's a nightmare on the leash, let's go address that. But then I tell my clients that, every dog needs some sense of routine. We need to build some structure in the day too. And so like my dogs, our structure was I'd wake up, we'd go for at least an hour walk in the morning. And it was a structured walk. I'd go to work, come home. We'd go for another 1 to 2 hour walk. But during that walk, they could run around and do whatever the fuck they wanted because they earned, they have no issues being off a leash or running around and having some fun. And then we go home, and then it was time I'd lay out 2 towels and give them a frozen Kong, and that was a calming yet relaxing activity for them to do. And then, maybe we go out in the backyard and just have some fun out in the backyard, and that was it. That was all. That was the structure of the day. And I teach people like just build a routine where everything is in place. There's the social component is addressed. The relationship aspect is aligned correctly, and then we build everything on top of that where we have the activities that we do. But we always have to make sure that we're in control of those things. And so that's why I would say, like, if I'm going to have my dog chase something, I want to make sure that I have a level of control over the dog to where I'm not going to run into problems. Like, I don't want my dog to chase something and run in the road and get hit by a fucking car. You know what I mean? That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's the time and place. That's like my lure course and flirt pole and things like that. Time and place. We could do this here. Everywhere else is where it's off limits, complete off limits.
Right.
And the dogs understand the difference between that. And that's the thing of some of these dogs that have that desire. If we don't give them that, that's where we start to see weird stuff and that they want to do it everywhere all the time. Like I first got this dog and she's wanted to chase, anything that's freaking moving, anything. It's like sometimes she's looking at the wind and going, but now she's realized time and place. Here, this is safe. This is controlled. I feel happy. We're good. Over there, never, ever. Unless she's on her harness and I have her for pulling. But I just seeing things that people say that's not going to work. And I'm sitting here as living proof of seeing it, and then speaking to other people that are also getting the same, maybe not the exact result level, but a significant change that the dogs are no longer being these antsy, demanding, roaming, cruising, pushing, just ruthless little dogs. They're starting to just mellow out. That's just how I'm looking at it. But for some reason, it's like, I don't know why. Like, it just seems like so many people want to say that I don't know what the heck I'm talking about and nothing I do will ever work and everything is just never going to go anywhere. That to me is coming from a lack of knowledge and understanding and just stopping and staying where you are and not trying to explore something different. Like I said, I got one life. I'm going to try it all out. I'm going to see different things. I'm going to get different dogs and try different methods and different concepts just to see in reality what's going to come. And I want to continue to keep doing that to figure out like, what is real? What am I going to be able to get? That's why I like that's the part I can say I like training dogs. I like doing the hunting and all that aspect of it. And I'm always trying more. But as far as these pet dogs, I've seen simple things to do to be able to get real good results from it.
No, and that's where I would love to see more of that, Mark. And that's what I'm saying. Like, show more of that. If there's something
that's what I'm working on.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working on. So this entire past year, solid year, maybe a little bit before is when I was like trying to get, I was like, my mind was like, let me try this out. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm going to continue to keep on pushing further and further into, is like being able to show, not say show off, but just show that, hey, like this here is also an option here. We can make this happen, because it's the concept that I just know, because not everybody can do what I do. Not everybody can do what you do. But if we could work with each other back and forth and say, hey, that, then each person can get what they want. Some people, when I go to, I've had only one person that was like this, and I was just like, that's just not me. They're just like, I want my dog to lay on this place bed, and that's where they need to stay all day. If I let them off, they can't get off. They better stay there, and I'll take it out to go potty, and that's what I want you to train my dog to do.
Yes,
I'm like, buddy, you got the wrong one. you got the wrong person. Like that's
not a life for a dog. No.
But that's unfortunately like a common thing that people love to teach in dog training is place bed. Stay there for 20 hours. That's just all that you get to do. And even if, because like say for instance, my dog here, when I'm talking, I'm sitting, he just lays, he sleeps. He does that on his own. Can he go over there? Yeah, he can go over there. He can go over there. He can do. He can be. That's he's making a choice to lay there. But
right,
he's making that choice, and that's where I see things get weird, because we're putting expectations out that people are showing a little clip saying this is how my dog is like this, and this little clip saying that it's like that all the time, and it's not. It's just it just isn't. Where for me, I just sit back and I relax, and my dogs are just how they are. They're the way that they are. There's always going to be something I do that someone's going to say, oh, that looks wrong. That's not right. I can always say, this is why for me personally, because it's hard to like keep up with comments and stuff and be able to focus. I'm trying to listen to what you're saying. So I kind of just exit that out a little bit. But someone said in there,
I can't even see him.
Me talking about the rooster. I can give an explanation of what I do, but that's still not going to satisfy anyone from what they saw. No matter what I say, doesn't matter. So I'm like, let me just not say anything about it anyways, because it doesn't matter what I say. They're going, oh, that's full of it. Oh, that's bull. But all I can say is get a dog to be able to hold something down and see the level of training, and all I can say is skill to be able to do that and not let them hurt it. That's like, it's hard. It's very hard to do. And I can say it now of why I do what I do, but it doesn't matter to some, and most. They're just like, oh, you're just making up stuff now. Look at you. Look what you're doing. All I can say to that person, if you really want to know, I got an extra bedroom. You can kick it for a couple of days and just see what's going on. And what I want to say is a real life and a real world. I can just show you, and you can hang out. And then you would have no choice but to like see the overall of everything that's happening, not just this little snippet that you're looking at. That's the part that unfortunately most the training stuff shows, that snippet. Look at this. My stuff is perfect. I got the right system. I got the right plan. And then we don't get to see the everything. That's where, for me, I had to just be honest. I could make my dogs look good in public. They look good. They look good on their leash. They just look phenomenal. But at home, it was like, it was just a waste. It was like so aggravating. So I had to just say to myself, I can't keep doing this. Where most trainers I know, especially from the dog school that I went to, they are living under these same. They can't just have a dog in a house, for instance. They can't just leave and just be able to relax with the dog. They can't just take the dog somewhere and just be with it. And we're trying to sell to the public that we're the experts, but yet we don't have anything of like value in reality to the clients. And that's where I am learning what I want to be able to do. And yes, I'm more of a permissive style, but I can still get done what someone would say. If you have a aggressive dog, you wouldn't be able to get them to get there. I'm going to say I can, and I know I can. And if someone wants to give me this dog, it is like, oh, this is the one. You can't work this dog. Give it to me, and I'm going to show you. We're going to get there. We're going to make it happen, because that's kind of. I'm not sure. I need to get another dog, but I kind of want to be able to get another one or two to just do these processes. But I want to rehome them. I don't want to keep all these dogs, but I want to get them to understand a better place, and someone else that can do the list of rules that I'm also living under. You're going to have a good time with this dog. It's going to be an awesome dog for you. But I want to take that dog and someone's like, this dog is untrainable may not be the word, but untrainable, and it's a fool. It's stubborn. It's this, it's that, and I just want to be able to work them and keep doing that, because that's the real. I know I'm very confident in what it is that I do today and how I work with these dogs. I'm very, very, very confident, as well as you. I know you're confident. I wasn't when I started this. When I was doing a year ago, 2 years ago, I was like, I don't know, but I'm very confident today because I've seen it with my own. I've seen it with other people around me, and I've seen it with people that even just want to write to me and send me stuff. I've seen things get. What I want to say is the start of it getting better. At least we're not at the same, and we're not going worse. We're getting at least better, and now that we're getting better, we're going to only keep getting better and better and better. That's what I'm seeing from what I do, and I'm able to keep doing that. That's all that at the end of the day I see that kind of matters in the end of it.
Well, all I can say, Mark, is if you can say that your way works with, say, like a dominant, aggressive dog, or even a white. Not all aggression is the same. Show it. I would love to see it. That's all I'm saying. You get a dog like that, and then show the process. I've been more than like that's something I would want to see. So
yeah, but the problem is, whatever dog I bring, it's not good enough. You know what I'm saying? That's the problem. No matter what dog I get, because a lot of people, they were saying to me, because why I got a Dalmatian is because the one trainer, Jedi dog master, he made a video talking about how these Dalmatians are just like, he's like, these dang dogs, and I was like, that's the one, because there's a German short-haired pointer or the Weinemeyer or the Dalmatian, because I'm looking for a running dog, and he was like, man, those dogs, something about those dogs, so I had to get it, and then I get it to be real nice, and then the next thing is, do that with a husky, do that with a beagle, do that with a this, do that with this, and get this dog. So there's never a thing outside of, this is the part that people want to put challenges out there. You select the dog, then I take the dog over and I work with the dog that you've seen the dog. That's the only way that you would in reality be able to feel that I'm not misrepresenting what it is that I'm doing, because you saw the dog, you were around the dog. But whatever dog I bring, I go to the shelter right now and grab the dog, and I bring that on camera. They're going, that's not a dominant, that's not a tough, that's not an aggressive dog, because you're not going to see that with me. You're going to see it change right away, instantly, because of how I'm going to treat that dog instantly. So that's the challenge behind the show me type stuff. It can lead to just nothingness at the end of the day, because no matter what, it's because that's what's. I mean, unfortunately, there were some comments talking about your dog in the sense of, get a more of this type of dog. And I'm like, that's silly language. We can't do that. Your dog is challenging. Everyone's dog is challenging, and every dog is, and the one that you don't think is challenging, that's the one that's going to like really nip you in the butt of like,
the little dogs in a lot of cases are they're harder in some respects than the big dogs.
Yes, very much so. They have a spunk to them that's very strange. Yeah. And the one that you think is easy, you're going to be like, man, I wish I would have not even thought that went into this already. And that's the challenge of like the show me type stuff. Because like whatever dog you bring, you can say, this dog is dominant, this dog is this. I'm gonna look at it and say, that dog, that looked like a 1 out of 10 type dog. Like, I don't know what you're talking about with that. That's the thing that's weird.
Right. Here's what I'll say though, and I gotta wrap it up because Goose was actually getting up here because she's gotta go to the bathroom. But that's how she tells me, hey, I gotta go outside. Now she's waiting by the door.
Mine's
I'll say this.
Me too.
I'll say this. I would rather show something, and because people make all kinds of comments on my videos. Because I get the same kind of shit. But I'm like, hey, you know what? I showed my work, and not good enough for you. My client's satisfied. So A, why the fuck do I care what you have to say? B, I was there with the person, with the dog. You weren't. So you can say whatever you want, but at least I'm showing my work. So that's what I'll say, is at least show something. Let people say what they want about it, but you know the truth at the end of the day, and at least you're showing something that says, hey, this is the way the dog was when I got it, and here, this is the journey to where we are now.
I mean, that's the simple thing with this Dalmatian in my face right now. And there's a video of her, freaking psycho. And then there's a video of her, like, seriously, like 4 months ago, I did an update video of her in the back. She's freaking chasing the baby chicks, picking them up. I've had to tell her out to the point today, completely indifferent. A complete transformation of the dog from where it was to where it is today. a complete transformation. No leash, no collar, no nothing, no words even. I got to say to the dog. Dog just sticks with me. That's say my first thing that I've really immersed myself into. And now from forward on, you're going to continue to keep on seeing more and more and more of that exact same level of results, I guess, that I'm going to say. And I'm going to be able, I know that I'll be able to replicate it because I've been able to do that with other folks. And a training video with me is boring as all heck could be. We're hanging out because that's what I need the dog to understand, how to hang out. Because most dogs are just freaking moving. I need to teach that dog how to hang out. Most dogs don't actually know that the skill that they need to learn to just chill, buddy. Like, it's okay to lay down. It's fine. It's acceptable. And that's what, I mean, I'll try to get more videos of stuff like that and working with people and being around their dogs and things. But I just personally, I'm weird because I'm kind of, as weird as it is, I'm on videos every day all the time and live streams today. I'm a little shy of putting my other people out there because I am also that like shyness of myself being on camera. And it's just kind of, for certain people, I'll be able to more likely, but most it's an intimate thing that's going on that they're just like, I don't.
Sure, and that's why I just ask. I'm like, hey, do you got, because a lot of the reason I record too is it's an extra resource for my client. So I get the instructions and I say, hey, if you let me record, it's another resource because now you can watch how we did things. And if you're cool with it, I'll put it up on you. Most people are cool with it. You know, I ask them like, yeah, put it on YouTube, whatever. Just don't use our names or anything. Yeah, whatever. But I've only had a couple where they're like, just don't put our faces in the video. And I've only had one say, nah, we don't need to record. Most people don't get. Most people, at least that hire me, they don't care. But I encounter a lot of the same problems, and that's why I don't put up a lot of new sessions. Is because I see the same shit. It's like, well,
the same thing.
I've covered this already. So like, why do I need to do it again? You know?
Yeah, that's why I said like making a dog trainer channel is like super complicated because you're always going to just keep showing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. And that's what's weird. But that's why my channel is, I talk about dogs, but it's more of a self-help for us to have to overcome and learn and figure out things that's wrong with us. That's what my channel focus is. I'm in dogs right now because it's just where my life has led me. At some point, my talk about dog is going to shift into, hey, what's going on with you? What's happening to you? Why are you having relationship problems with other humans type situation? That's where I'm going to. But right now I'm here. I'm here right now. And I'm very appreciative of where I am. And it's something that is just helping me along, be able to get to where I want to continue to keep going. And it's something that, I don't know, this past even couple of weeks have been like a cool experience of just like seeing all this, say, pressure. And I just have to look at it and say, man, this is life. This is just real life. Can I run away from it? Yeah, I can shut it off, shut it down, disappear, turn the comments off on my channel. I can do all that, but I'm not going to. And I want to figure out how to be able to keep going into it because that's the thing of why I like you and what you do. You're confident in it. You're cool. I'll put it out there. And I got to be that same way. If I believe in what I believe in, then I got to go head first into it. I can't just run from it. And if I run, then clearly what you're doing is stupid. It's not meaningful. It's worthless. So that's where I am. You're years into this. I'm a year into this, moving forward and pushing hard with what it is, this understanding that I have. That's the difference I can say between us, where someone can say, you're inexperienced, you don't know, you're stupid, you don't know, I've been in this for 80 years. It's like, cool. But I've been able to do some stuff in the short time I've owned dogs. And so the past, say, about 8 years of my life, I've been owning dogs. In the past, like 4 to 5 years, it's been a different, like a heavy dog presence. In this little amount of time, I've done some pretty, in my mind, some pretty incredible things. Someone else could say that looks like trash, that's no good. But I've been able to do some stuff that I'm like, yeah, I like this. I don't go a day that someone doesn't look at my dogs, especially out in public. Man, those are some nice looking dogs. I appreciate that. And they always want to pet them and hang out and look at them. And I'm like, cool. Yeah, just do what y'all want to do. Let's all keep on moving. So I've been able to do something that I see value in. And unfortunately, there's going to be the haters that are like, that can't be, that ain't right, and that. It just is what it is. The same way I said to you, some people can get some stuff done in a dog in 2 minutes, and someone else, they may never get it in their lifetime. And I can't say you're wrong because you got it in 2 minutes. You did what you did with the gift that you have. And we can't be mad at each other and fighting at each other because of something like that. That's an insecurity in us that we got to fight and attack that. And there's other people that are behind the scenes of both of us that are doing that. And that's some weird stuff.
Yeah. Well, that's look, listen. I think we'll end it here, but I'll just say, first of all, I appreciate the kind words. But this is one thing I don't like to make this personal, but this is why I think people should just be careful what they say, because like this week especially, I was just simply showing people what they say versus what we see. And then when they say something else, how it contradicts the first thing they said. So it's like, well, let's be more mindful of the things we put out there, the things we say. And if maybe it's not something we mean in the moment, maybe we think about it for a minute and be like, well, maybe I'm being a little, maybe I'm angry at the moment or whatever. Maybe I should say this, or because listen, I'm not trying to fight with people out of some insecurity. I'm trying to point out the bullshit, and that's a core issue I have with the people who don't want to show anything or want to. And I'm not talking about you. I'm just saying in general. Is they're so quick to say I'm wrong about shit, but I go to click on their channel, what do you got? Nothing. Where's your work? You want to say I'm wrong?
I hear you on that. I hear you on that. But what I always say is going to be a little more complicated with what I do is I have other stuff that's going on.
You got a farm to run. I get that. I get that.
So there's going to be someone that says I'm going to work them all and they're all got to be the same. That's not my life. That may work for somebody, but my life, I got dogs to do tasks that I need them to do. Then I have dogs that do this task and they need to do that. That's the training aspect of me that I have some of my dogs do. So if you're going to say, oh, this guy's talking about doing this with the dog, but look at that over there. That's like, don't worry about that. As hard as it is for me to say it like that, but like, don't worry about that. That's not focusing on. So that's where someone can say what you're saying, how you can look at it. You're looking at what you see. This dude just said this and he just seen that. It's like, that's not the same, but I'm not doing what I'm doing with that, with this over here. And there's a separation. So I've got weird things going. I got a Great Pyrenees that just sits outside all day long and barks at stuff. Who wants that? But I want that. When he barks, or sometimes if I'm making a video, I'll be like, hey man, he's cool. But he barking, I'm like, hey buddy, get a little bit louder, get a little bit in there. I'm like, yeah, I'm egging it on. I'm pushing it harder. I'm like, yeah, buddy, get raspy with it.
He's playing his role, right?
Yeah.
Right. He's playing his role. And that comes down to the role we all play. And that's all, and that's one thing I really like about what Dale says is the role. We have to establish the roles. Like your Pyrenees plays a role, you play a role, Johnny plays a role, Oreo plays. So that's the structure of everything is we all play our roles, and there's a distinction between who plays what role, and that's how we make things work. You go to a workplace and everybody plays their role, and we get the job done, right?
Yeah. And then for me, it's like when I'm sitting on say for my house, for instance, on the patio, we're all together, we're all under the same. These are the rules. We're all under this. But sometimes, Johnny, you got that job, you got that job, so it's all going to look different. Someone says, you're no good because you allow your dog to chase an animal. And I'm like, well, I need that. I don't need it, but it's a luxury to make my life easy. So in my mind, I need it. And I'm going to push it harder to be able to do such a thing. Where most people, you don't need your dog to kill a rat and figure out how to be able to climb it out of a tree and get your dogs to all surround it to be able to kill it. And that's a need there because they're destructive out here. They're freaking nasty. But I'm doing stuff that, yes, you're going to see that. And then what I'm saying is going to be opposite. But most people don't need that. You don't need that. And I know how to be able to get that, but I don't want to teach that. There's no reason. Unless someone's like, how do I be able to get my dog to resource guard food so that all the animals stay away from it? What the heck do you need that for as a pet dog owner? That's going to be dangerous. And unfortunately, a lot of people are training their dogs the same way I train mine to know how to do that. That could be dangerous, like life-threatening in reality. The intensity of these dogs, that's the 18 stitches in your arm right now that you got. That could get dangerous. But all right, man, we'll shut her down.
I totally agree with you, Mark. No, I got to go to the bathroom and take her out. But hey, appreciate your time, Mark. Good discussion.
All righty, man. Yeah, it's cool. It's cool. You've got a lot of times it's like how is it? We don't really know everything, and then we can finally speak and say it and have a dialogue and a conversation about it to allow it to happen. And it just
get it all out.
Most times that makes things that makes things better. There's no reason that I'm not like, I hate you, that guy, he's this and this.
No.
It is what it is. I'm not like that. I know others are, unfortunately, I'm just not like that. Yeah, I want people to be able to hear something that's different, to be able to give somebody the opportunity to be able to say, hey, maybe I've been listening to Mark, but that guy, he said some stuff that now I really want to watch more of his videos to figure out more, because he does. Anyone watching right now, and anytime you will rewatch it, he's got a lot of videos showing a lot of little things that he does. And in my mind, it's not so much because he says it. If it is, this may be a little dangerous. He'll say that, like, hey, like especially that one with that ball. Like, if you're fragile and can't just don't do this. But he'll also show another way of how he does things. He's got a lot of videos like that for you to watch to be able to see. That may be your way of going. I don't take this wrong way in the sense of what I'm saying. I don't care if you don't watch me. I don't care if you're like, oh, I'm going to go over there now. I want you to get what you need. That's all that matters for me at the end of the day. And the unfortunate part is, the unfortunate part is we're not all the same. And what you need may not be what someone is saying to you, you have to do. You have to be this way. And that's where we're having a fight, a division, I guess I could say. Everything is a division right now, unfortunately. But that's the division. Yeah. You got to do what you're capable of doing, but you have to change. Guaranteed. There's a change involved here. Guaranteed. You have to change. You are not doing what you're doing and say, oh, I could just keep throwing treats at the dog and it's going to stop. No, you have to change. Absolutely have to. How far that change depends on the situation of where we are, what's going on. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to look at it, and that's every case is unique.
We can end on that agreement because I agree with you 100%.
So we leave everything on a positive note, huh?
Right. Because everything on an agreement. I agree with you there, Mark.
Yeah, we got to change. We have to. Even if you feel uncomfortable with the change, you have to do some change. It is what it is.
Hey, and the dog changes when you change.
Yeah, in most cases, that change is going to be hard. It's going to be the death of you. It's going to be hard. Yeah, it's going to be hard. Well, all right, man. I appreciate the talk, and I appreciate everybody that showed up. And
appreciate everybody showing up. Thank you.
And I'm maybe not good at the multitask to see the comments, and I'm trying to stay focused on what Kevin is saying, and I'm trying to just not miss stuff. So
I don't have glasses on, so I can't even read them. So.
Sorry, I forgot about everybody and didn't say nothing, and it just will at some point, maybe one day. I don't know what to do about that. Still, it's just too hard. I got to focus on what I'm doing here.
It's all good, man.
If I go over there, I'm going to not hear something. But I appreciate it, and hope you have a great night. Yeah. And everybody have a great night or morning, depending on where you're at now.
You have a great night, Mark. You'll have a great night. Thanks for showing up. Appreciate it.
All righty.
All right. Take care.